everybody, and welcome to Plat Chat VALORANT episode 168. We've got me, we've got Mimi, we've got Sliggy, we've got TMV, we've got special guests coming in later, and I'm running out of breath already. We got no sleep. We've been streaming for 45 hours a day. We've been watching every single VOD, every single region. Our minds are filled to the brim. My brain is hot. I can feel my head overheating. My head's overheating. But we're still bringing you a Plat Chat episode because we care about you and we love you all dearly, and you need to give us money now because of that. So let's get well. First of all, actually, I'll do the. I mean, how Sliggy? How have you been
start.
doing?
How am I doing? I'm doing good. It's weird going from like 6 months of nothing to just the most jam-packed schedule you could possibly imagine. It's so weird. Started it off with like a Pacific 5-hour tech pause as well, which is really cool. So yeah, it didn't really go great, but yeah, we're getting there. At least we're almost done with it.
Yeah.
Got some good games.
We're almost done, and then it's a week, and then Madrid starts, and then it's less than a week, and then the regular season starts again, and then it's and then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. TMV, how you doing?
I'm feeling very connected to you, Brent, to be honest, because I now know that both of us, when asked on command in front of a lot of people, will do a gritty and do it very badly. Because
you did one when?
Oh, I did one a while back. My chat was just like, "Do it," and I just did it. And now I know that you too give in to the peer pressure of someone just saying your name and saying, "Do a gritty now."
That segment was chalked because we were doing a halftime segment with 4 of us, and you have like a minute to talk. And so the only thing I did was the gritty. I didn't even speak. I didn't even provide any analysis. It was just Mitch shouting at me. But no, we're all cooked. We're all overheated. We've watched far too much Valorant in a short amount of time. But that's what we're here to talk about because we missed an episode last week. So we'll start with Pacific. That's the region. We got to get started with this because listen, we got a lot to get through. And the first topic we're just gonna slot this straight in. It's the big one. It's DRX. They failed to qualify for a global event for the first time since 2021 when you consider them to be like vision strikers as well. Massive surprise, massive upset, maybe. I don't know if you guys hold that opinion, to be honest, because you might have watched their earlier games and not felt too hot about them. But, you know, a lot of us were very critical of this team, making changes into the offseason, getting rid of Zest and RB, and bringing in Foxy9, who's untested on a big stage. They kept subbing him out for playoffs, didn't have that experience. Do you guys, I mean, Sliggy, do you think that really harmed the chance of DRX here, or are there some deeper rooted issues?
Yeah, I think so. It did feel like just kind of the first initial struggles of a team, especially with like putting like the roles is the big thing for me. The roles are just like kind of all over the place. There's a lot of pressure on Foxy9 to just fill this flex, which is like for sure one of the hardest roles at the moment. With especially where the meta is at the moment, it's all over the place. Sometimes you're gonna be like on a duelist or a Viper or like or you could be on a KO. So yeah, for him, I feel like he's it's ups and downs with him, to be honest. Like I actually don't know what I'm gonna get with him. It does, like, the consistency isn't there. It feels like his Viper isn't too comfy. That's like the main criticism I have. It definitely feels like a step back for hopefully in the future, like 2 steps forward. But yeah, we'll see. In terms of like positives, like Flashback is I mean, he's looking great.
Oh yeah,
like he's fragging heavy. Like I saw that interview where he just said like, I'm going to be the biggest fragger or something in Pacific, and I was like, okay, sure buddy, like whatever. And then actually,
you would
like,
I'm in the league with Paper X and say that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You're looking around like, damn, there's some big dogs here. But dude, he's a talent. He's impressed me a lot. So yeah, I think this is a step back for the hopeful 2 steps forward in the future. So we'll see. I'm not too worried about them, I guess.
Yeah, I think DRX is like the thing we always harped on for the last like eternity was DRX had one identity and one style, and they kept playing to that, and they kept repeating the same mistakes over and over again of like this 2-set style. And then they come in here, and I feel like they have broken that for the first time, and they really do look like, to some extent, a new team, in that they're going back and making a lot of the mistakes that you wouldn't normally expect from this squad. Like the Gen.G series, a tragedy in the amount of eco rounds and clutches that this team was losing. It was unfathomable. But I'm with Sliggy where I'm not super doomerism about it. I think that they absolutely needed a reset. In my opinion, it's better to have a bad tournament at kickoff to have time to actually build something with a new roster and try and reinvent yourself than keep doing the same stuff over and over again and continue to qualify to international events and be mid.
You just reminded me of this game, to be honest. This is the thing with Pacific. I've watched so much Valorant in the past couple days. Like the Pacific games, the final was 2 days ago. It feels like it was from 1993.
Okay, just imagine a sheriff and imagine Gen.G and now think about Charon and think about the amount of rounds that he stole.
This game, but you reminded me, this game, I think they lost 4 or 5 E3s.
Yes.
I think if you go on like the
Yes.
first kills to first deaths for DRX, they destroyed Gen.G specifically on Lotus. Like it was horrendous. How did they fucking lose this game?
Texture was 1 and 9 in first kills to first deaths on Lotus.
And and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And DRX won a pistol as well. It's like, what? What? How is this 13-8? It was absolutely insane. And yeah, I'm kind of with you completely though with what Sliggy said. Like I was going to say the exact same things. Foxy 9, Viper, especially considering you placed like maybe 2 players who could play Viper. You know, that's not ideal maybe. But yeah, the thing is, the rest of the team as well though, it just feels like, you just get that feeling of stagnation with them. Like you just feel the stagnation, and maybe they can, get better as the season goes on. And
you feel
Where do you think that
stagnation
derives from?
because for me, I feel like I see this as, I was kind of more with what Sliggy was saying, where like it feels like they aren't succeeding, but in a very different way than previous. That kind of gives me some glimmer of hope that they can actually like see room to be better, even if they were bad this tournament. Do you feel like it's like more of the same, or?
I still feel like there's still a bit of the same of like DRX in big games, get into situations that you feel like, oh, they're gonna do it this time, they can win, and then they don't. And sure, this is a stage that normally they've been good at, right? This is normally the stage that they're fine in, but maybe those newer players, aren't used to it. Although, yeah, Flashback is just good. Like, he's just good. He's not the problem at all, I don't think. But I still don't know, right? And I feel like for Pacific, and we'll talk about the rest of the teams as well, that, with T1 and then Gen.G now as well, maybe looking like, they can actually compete with the top dogs as well. Was it the DRX... I don't know, like they are kind of at a similar sort of level maybe to last year, but now there's other teams that, can actually beat them, right? Whereas last year they could have done anything and they would have qualified, right? Because they were just better. But this year, clearly that's not going to be the case. So
you think there's other teams in Pacific have gone up to their level rather than them?
I think
stepping down?
specifically 2 teams have gone up to their level, and Pacific are like, we'll get into the other teams as well. I think the whole of Pacific actually hasn't been that great. I haven't been that impressed with the majority of the teams. Specifically, Gen.G and T1, I think, look decent and have improved. But I think that's a worry for both DRX and PaperX, as we'll get into it, that, they can't just, like, be doing whatever they want and expect to just be fine. Because now maybe they have some competition.
Yeah, I mean, it is like the first time ever that Pacific has not just been like a 2-team only region. Like, we are finally free from a guaranteed DRX PaperX final every single time.
That's very true. Also, good news, especially for you, Bren. I've seen you've been a little bit critical of this in the past. We're getting some Permi timeouts within the first 5 rounds. Yeah, dude, first 5 rounds.
Smile on his face.
Yeah, big change.
No
big
more stealing
change
the
up.
paychecks. That's
Yeah,
awesome,
he's getting involved. I think I saw it twice as well, so it's not like it was a one-off.
Then
so.
again, they didn't make it to the tournament, so maybe
Also
maybe
true.
he'll learn not to again, and they'll
Maybe
think that's what went wrong.
That's the correlation. Termy was just yapping in their ears, and they're just like, "God, when will this timeout end? We just want to play. We just want to play, man." Yeah, I have some concerns really about Pacific as a region, and it's mainly just with the changes that DRX and PaperX have made. It feels like the region as a whole has leveled down almost. Whereas you look, I don't know, I've been watching a lot of EMEA in the last 24 hours and a lot of Americas because we've been working it. And those regions, it feels like that there's a ton of parity. Like the floor has been raised quite significantly, And even teams that we weren't expecting anything of have been able to reach quite high peaks. But with DRX making changes and with PaperX still struggling to kind of fit Monnier into a lot of identities, which I mean, I guess we can move on to PaperX too. Yeah, I mean,
again, he's been watching a lot of EMEA VODs.
Monnier.
Yeah, a lot of K-Corp.
Well, how are you supposed to pronounce his name? Monnier?
That's how we've been doing. I think.
I'm too French pilled. I have been watching a lot of K-Corp. K-Pop was the last. I mean, j'aime K-Corp, j'aime français, allez français, allez bleu, allez bleu, K-Corp. Let's go. Let's get the French viewers riled up.
We got about 5 words in, and then we're like, what's another French word?
Yeah,
French
words. 1 year of French in year 7, of which I turned up to every lesson.
The Gloucester public school system going crazy right now.
Failed me. Have we passed 5 minutes?
TMV already swore.
I already swore.
Well, it fucking failed me. It fucking failed me, man. Anyway, yeah, PaperX qualified for Madrid, but should we be concerned? That's the topic title here. But I mean, it leads in nicely, I think, into just a general topic of, I personally felt like when I was watching, I watched a lot of a bit of the top 4 games here in Pacific, and it felt like the overall level had gone down a little bit. The ceiling had gone down almost from the changes. I don't know if you guys agree with that. But it felt like the case with PaperX because, I mean, I had very high expectations as a team that's made the finals of a lot of tournaments, and they've made deep runs in the past, and they have big shoes to fill, with Jing ended up not leaving.
I think for PaperX, they have been the king of the castle for eons. They have been rich. They've been eating their cake. They've been happy. They've been joyous. What does that give them? Every playoff game, you can pick a random comp. And as long as you have like 2 solid ideas for some good util combos that work off of it, and a couple like really cool execs that are going to take teams by surprise, you can use the surprise factor and you can use just the insane skill of your players to own everyone else in the league. All good. Switch around your comps, show up to international events, be chillin'. But now, finally, there is a lot more competition. And to me, watching some of these games from PaperX, I feel like for the first time, like, honestly, since, like, the beginning of last year Pacific season, I kind of saw them getting exposed a little bit for, I feel like, going a little too crazy with some of these ideas sometimes. Like,
but Mimi, they've only got 1 comp that works, and it's 3 fucking duelists together. That's the only map they can win is when they play 3 duelists. They've
but
gone the
that's
opposite
not
way.
the solution. It's play a normal comp, please.
Well, they said in an interview, right, that they played this initially with the Sky, and then they found it was just getting outvalued, so then they threw in the Yori.
Yeah.
And then it started working. Which is
I
just
love
the
that
most
one.
PaperX thing ever. That's so funny.
When they're literally like, the sky's not working, and they're like, right, well, how do we replace that? We need information. No, we don't. We need a flash. Just get it in there.
Forsaken's
Just get
gonna
the
run
Euro
at
in
them.
there.
He's a drone every round.
But that is the PaperX way. It worked last year for them as well. With let's get rid of our IGL and bring in a correct jet player. That will work surely.
Okay,
but then
but the
it
thing
did.
is, it did. We have to remember, it did not work at first. PaperX did not start the year excellent. Like, they got caught for trolling before they like made those adjustments and ended up being goated for the end of the year. And I feel like they're like every year they are an egg hatching again, a child reborn that is again in their experimentation phase. They're dyeing their hair black, they're getting a crazy tattoo, they're trying some drugs, and it's a bunch of triple duelist comps, and they go a little too far with it. But it's also PaperX, and I feel like at this point you kind of have to give the credit that you think they're gonna reel it back in. But also, I don't know, man, because some of the stuff I was watching was just ridiculously silly.
Oh yeah, but it's like our worst nightmare because you're looking at this and you're like, well, this is a done game, and then they like actually have like a few little smart things that they're doing with it to cover up like the actual errors of the comp itself, and you're like,
no, it's
oh,
literally like we have our like
work.
3 ideas with it, and like nothing else, but we're good enough that we just make that work.
Yeah, that's it, because they were like losing A heaven control, and then they would have this new wall, and then every single time they would just like they would wall up once they got A heaven, and they would just pinch onto A heaven with just everyone, and you're like, actually, I think it was Devi was just walling up and just sending it through, and I'm like, actually, on the server on itself, like this is gonna work. And then they changed it up next game, and I'm like, wow, they're somehow like they're doing enough that these comps that shouldn't be working, like they actually have good thought behind them, even though it is like a week, and I think that's like a lot down to Alex it being able to pull that off. But but somehow they're just getting crazier and crazier. They were triple controller on Breeze, triple duelist on Split. Like it is
No duelist on Sunset. I mean,
No,
wait,
well,
why-
I want to defend that. Yeah, I want to
I
defend
kind
that.
of like it, but
thought
it's just not
good.
paper Rex. You're like, why the
Okay,
fuck
yeah.
are you doing this?
That's true. Yeah, I liked it. I was looking at the Sage, and then I come to seeing the wall over towards B, and I'm like, oh, actually, this is really good. Because I was thinking, I was literally going to my chat the whole time. I was like, guys, they can't go B. They have no duelist. This is the only choke point. You're going to see them take over mid, take over A, and then literally I just see them just go B every single round. And I'm like, well, they're doing the thing that they shouldn't be able to do, and they're just walling off the right side. So they have some really good thought around comps that again, like I said, in theory, have weaknesses. The one thing that did worry me, especially in this Gen.G game, is they were getting out dueled, and I can't remember the last time I saw that, to be honest. So that's like the one thing where I'm like, wait, these guys are 1-for-1, just losing most of the duels. That's mad. That worries me.
I feel like Paper X are the kind of team. I mean, like we've already said, they're wacky comps and they have a few semblance of ideas, but the firepower gives them the false positive. They're like, that's my personal theory for Navi of last year, with Navi's crazy fucking comps. And then I was just picturing, like, in the scrims, I bet they're just dominating because of a lot of the individuals. Like Sugetsu and Shao, still good players. And I think it just leads them astray. But Paper X, they just don't. I love the fact that they never default into standard stuff, to be honest. I really do, because some of the ideas really hit. Like their old Ascent comp with the Reyna that Karmine Corp copied. Oh, I love that comp so much. It's dear to my heart. It is dear to my heart. They had such a cool look sometimes. They just stumble upon gold every now and then. But you're right. There's concerns there, because when the firepower is missing, it seems to just crumble away. And Gen.G have stepped up massively in that department. I would say it's one of the sole reasons they've been able to take so many wins, because at a very surface level, I mean, we can move on to Gen.G as well, with them winning the kickoff and everything else. At a very surface level, I'm watching this team, and I'm not seeing anything too special to calling a Munchkin. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but the fucking individuals of players, like Texture, like Caron, like Media at times, just everybody stepping up and having these massive moments, were just making these unwinnable rounds winnable. And at the end of the day, you get shot, you die. That's Valorant. You know, like that's literally the game distilled down to its purest form. I can't argue with that. That clip is going to live on forever now.
Yeah, and it is what you're saying. It is the individuals. Like they have good basic. They have good fundamentals. They're pretty good spacing a lot of the time. But if I'm just going back to a lot of these, it is them just taking turns of, right, who's gonna like 1v3 this round, or who's gonna in a 3v5 situation, who's gonna get 3 to bring it back into like a 2-on-2. Like they're insane. They were literally just taking turns. It's like even Lakia was like relatively quiet, and then it's just like he just gets like 2 back-to-back like 1v3s or something, and you're just like, man, how is like this team has just come together, and it's just so perfect at the moment. They look so strong. I agree. I think like the callings, it's not like outstanding, but I don't think it needs to be at the moment. They're just doing all the fundamentals and everything. It's just like we lose map control, we take map control, and we win the duels, and then you just can't cut them out of any round. Like you actually can't.
Yeah.
Even like the new guys that they're just coming in here. Like Karen as well is just a god, and then Meteor is just like really standing out to me as well. And Texture's just opening so much up. Like he's fearless. He does some mad stuff as well. So yeah, I like this team. I was not like on paper. I was always like, this could be one of those like dark horse upset teams. I didn't think it would look anywhere near as good as this. They look great. Like they look like the best aimers in Pacific, and that's scary.
I was thinking about like the question of, someone asked me the other day, like, who do you think the best controller in the world is? And I feel like a lot of the old kind of controllers that you think about normally and that kind of thing, you think, are they still at the very top? I was thinking, like, what if Karen just becomes like the best controller player in the world? Like, just
That's
fucking
actually
straight
real
away.
as shit.
Like, he just could just straight away just be, because he just wins so many duels that he's just standing there, and it's just like they come to him, it's just like 1, 2, 3. Like it's unbelievable. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you guys have said. Like they don't play like particularly weird comps. They don't they don't like do anything that maybe like completely blows you away, other than just like every so often, oh, here's Texture. Oh, 4K again. Okay. Here's Karen. 3K. Nice. Good round, guys. Like, they must just be like, oh, yeah, your turn. Off you go.
Yeah, it is.
Meteor's
Even-
gonna hop on Killjoy this round. He gets 4.
Yeah, it is that. Even Munchkin, like he's calling, and he's just like probably some of the highest fragging we've seen him doing. It's like, damn, like just everyone, just every single one of them just looks incredible.
I am
Yeah.
really excited to see how they're going to match up against international competition because I feel like what's kind of weird about the teams they're playing in Pacific is I don't feel like anyone else who are playing has the same, like, just we're a good, honest team that has the fundamentals down, that, like, doesn't have to have insanely good IGL. Like, we just play slow. Our opponent's going to run into us. As long as we're, like, playing fundamentally solid Valorant, our individuals are good enough to bail us out of everything. I'm excited to see how that's going to kind of stack up to teams that I feel like won't give them some of the same opportunities that, like, Paper X was doing. Because, I mean, DRX and Paper X, let's be honest, there's no world where Gen.G should have been allowed to win the amount of clutches they won in either of those series. There was a criminal quantity of, like, thrown away advantages by both of those teams. And I don't know how that's not something you can rely on in the future. But again, their individuals are just good enough. Their gameplay is sound enough that I think that, like, going into Madrid, they're going to be, like, a solid, like, mid-table dark horse team that, like, I could definitely see going on a run if they can keep this form. Karon especially, just I didn't even know the guy's name before starting to watch Pacific this year, and he's just, it's ridiculous how good he is. Just every clutch he wins.
Angel's about to TP into them. They're going to be in a 5v4, and they're going to be like, guys, what do? We got the first kill.
This never happened before. We've never played from a man-up situation.
Yeah, the Gen.G, I thought the limiting factor of this team when it was being formed, I was like, okay, are they going to troll with Texture's role like GE did? Are they going to put him on like Sentinel? Are they going to try and like force Meteor on Duelist? Is Munchkin's calling even going to be up to scratch? Because it wasn't before at all. I thought all those things were just going to hold this team back from doing anything. And it's completely showing me up. Do we think that consistency, this consistency with the fragging, do you think that'll keep going in Madrid? Because like normally with teams like this, you know, if they play 1 or 2 matches, it's not enough really data to make a call like that. But Gen.G have played the most
Insane
matches
amounts
out of anybody, and they're still been doing this. So do we think that this answers like the consistency question, where they're going to be able to do this in Madrid and keep this going?
I think. I'll go quickly. I do think that some of the competition in Madrid will be a little bit higher, so I think it will be hard. Even though the consistency of fragging that they did is crazy in like how many maps they played, it's like 14, maybe even more than that. Yeah, I do think that. I don't want to think about the Paper X final too much when it's just like the championship points online, on the line. I think Paper X are always going to be in the top 3 in my books in terms of like stage 1, stage 2. So I don't think they really care about the championship points, whereas Gen.G are probably just like this. It comes down to who wants it more in my books for that. So I feel like that's why they really turned up, and maybe it was like not the best showing from Paper X in terms of them wanting it a little bit less, because I think they just think that they'll be in the top 3 by the stage 2 anyway. Yeah, I just think the competition is going to be a lot harder in Madrid. It's going to be a good test. Like, it's going to be a good test, but they can't be doing these rounds against other top tier. Like, it's consistently, it's insane that they managed to do it in this tournament. Like, especially being like a man down or like 2 men down and winning those rounds. But in Madrid, I can't see them keeping it up. I would love to see it, but I think it's impossible.
That's so logical. So well thought out.
Okay.
So true of you, Sliggy. But also, when was the last time a like ridiculous, disgusting rookie player that came out of nowhere showed up to an international event? Guess what we always say? Every fucking co-streamer, every analyst does, oh, it's a big stage, the pressure's on now, what's he gonna do? And they're always fucking dunking. I am done doubting rookies. It's not real. Doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. Karon's gonna be out there. He's gonna be hooping on the court. The fucking Michael B. Jordan of Valorant. I don't care. They can keep the form. Will they win the tournament? No. Will they play well? Will they get some upsets? I think so.
I think that's a fair take, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, the consistency of eco wins has gone up massively in Americas as well.
Not everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, well, in the EMEA matches I watched, I felt like it wasn't as much, but I think in general,
every other team loses every second round at this point.
Yeah,
it feels like
it's so strange.
Second
man.
round you can't win.
Yeah,
because
yeah. And then
in theory they're like all buying less as well to
Yeah,
watch out
it's
for the
all
outlaws.
classics, it's the skins.
But this is the fourth thing, and like this just shows you how much of it is just like the game itself, where it's just no one's running around with like the sheriffs or the armor anymore. It's just like everyone has to group together with classics, and you actually have to put some thought process in
and
now.
play with the
Like,
util.
yeah, and teams
Yeah.
are, and you can just tell with these teams they're planning, especially with their second rounds as well. They're always planning like 2 rounds ahead, so it's always just like pistol, and then you can tell they have like a set plan for their ecos now. And we rarely saw that, to be honest. A lot of time it was just be like, oh boys, just buy some sheriffs, get some damage done. Maybe you see like a 3-person stack, or just like, oh, there's no sound here. Let's go like gamble stack over towards here. But now there's like actual like trap plays and stuff on ecos, and they're taking like risks that are smart but sick at the same time. So it's cool that teams are being forced to do that. They could have done it back then as well, but it's progress at least. Yeah.
Well, let's touch on some of the other matches that happened way further ago, because we missed a week. So we're
Back
going to
in
talk
the
about
USSR.
the little teams. We're talking about the little teams. And just a little guy. We're going to talk about a little guy called Yay and Bleed. And oh no, what happened with Bleed? Because they went out first, 10th to 11th in the kickoff. That's a brutal one. I mean, it felt like roles issues potentially, but maybe there was more to play. I'm not gonna lie,
I've heard that
more
one
from the
before.
Ascension teams. I've heard that one before. I was expecting more from Bleed as an Ascension team, to be honest, because the way I just power ranked them in my mind is like, well, top of tier 2 genuinely is like probably middle of the pack most of the time when it comes to like last year's teams. Because I don't know, you just the tier 2, generally speaking, you get a higher level from it with the partnership system that we've got. But what was your takeaway from this one, TMV?
Yeah, this was tough. Obviously, Ye talked about his kind of like problems after kind of the game. Which, I mean, there was like a very notable moment where you could tell like someone was on his screening at the reaction time of like an old man. Because he was struggling. He said he had blurred vision.
Yeah.
Like during the game.
And we're not doctors. We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Like we can't
This is
diagnose
not medical
that.
advice.
I saw a lot of comments online of people trying to diagnose it.
We gotta get Josh on the episode to diagnose.
Yeah, he did, you know, our med school dropout maybe to provide some extra info. Maybe I can give him a call. He's probably on a flight right now.
Yeah, but I, to be honest with you, like, okay, they lost to T1. There was a 3-hour tech pause. They lost to overtime 18-16. And then they played T1 on Lotus and they lost 2-0. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. There was a 3-hour tech pause and you lost a close map. I can understand.
Yeah.
Well, and T1 are a decent team, right? So I was like, fine. But then they played Global, and I'm looking at it, and even if you consider Yay underperforming, the rest of the fucking team should be better than Global, in my opinion. From what I thought about these teams. So I was like, even if you're putting Yay on Viper and he's not doing well or whatever, for me it was like, but you probably should be still winning this game. And that to me was like the big, like, how did this happen? And we'll get into GE as well, like in a second. I mean, what the fuck are they doing? Like, some of the things that GE are doing are like, I don't know. It defies logic. Some of the things that GE are doing, and Bleed lost to that, which makes me think like, seriously, what's going on? I have no explanation. Forget Yay. What's the rest of the team? Like, how? What?
Yeah, I got no comment on this. I mean, Sliggy, what's do you concur? Are you also gobsmacked?
Yeah, I just have so I was just trying to get over loads of different things in my mind, and like I do. Okay, I'm gonna be the bad guy and talk about the roles, because it is just like, why if you're gonna put him on flex, like why'd you get Yay? Like out of all of the people in the world.
Didn't they pay like 12? Like they paid like the fucking U.S. military budget to get him, just to put him on Viper, man.
This is what I don't get. Like there's other players out there like that have been proven on flex. Like this guy can literally carry games of good game plan. You put him on a chamber, and it's just like, where was that? I feel like if you're paying that much, you got to do it. And I don't know the inner workings of the team or like what their goal is long term, but that for me is just like it's a huge red flag. But do you know what the actual biggest red flag is? Kurt, can you bring up the VLR and go to their map pick against GE? So GE had just demonstrated a solo Viper on bind. Yeah, there's been a solo Viper on bind.
Oh,
And
Sliggy, please tell me you love the solo
zoom
Viper on
into the
bind.
second veto from Bleed. They got to choose between bind and split at the end. And they got rid of bind. We could have played against a solo Viper on bind, where it's literally the easiest thing to play.
Imagine the society if they had just put Yay on Chamber against the solo bind comp, or the solo Viper bind comp, and he just
Dude.
gets free real estate.
I just don't get it. I'm looking at that and I'm like, no way. Like you're looking at a solo Viper bind. That is the freest win you could possibly have, and you go, nope. I want to play split. Like what? It's a free. That's a free map. That is a free map. Like that. Like I'm having PTSD because we used to play that comp, and it's one of the big reasons why I had to step down, because I was like, man, I can't. Like, so it has like a soft spot in my heart where I'm just like, man, I can't. Like it's proven doesn't work. It is one of the worst things you can possibly run.
What I
And
love about it though, Sliggy, is
Go
that in
on.
the game after that, Global were like, let's pick bind
Let's
again. Let's do it again. Let's run
Oh,
it back,
man.
baby. 2024.
That's what I mean. So yeah, I'm having and like the thing is, old Bleed, like running into Ascension. Like I loved some of the decisions that the coaches and stuff are making. I think they had some really cool stuff, especially when you're looking at like Pearl and like the thought process behind that. So that was really cool. But this year, it's not a great start. I'm not saying I've lost faith in them, but I feel like everyone has errors, and this for me was that like the veto was an error, and in my mind it's at least not the approach I would have had if I was on the team and I got in Yay, who's a star player, and then you're putting him on roles that he's not experienced on.
Yeah, it is weird. When you think about Ye's success, like you said, it's not him. He's not a supportive player. He was usually the second one in. Like the way he really got set up for success was Victor. Yeah, inting in some way or form with the setup. He creates all the space, and then you have Yay on Chamber or Yay with a follow-up. And he's the one who like takes advantage of that. But he knows his role. He plays his role inside the team. And when you put him on really fluid roles, like, I mean, the Sky that they put him on top of it, or like the Viper and everything else, where you kind of have to use your own sense of timing. I mean, there should be some similarities to Chamber in that way, but I don't think there are as many, to be honest. Yeah, it just seems weird. You're almost setting him up to fail to a degree. But this format's also strange in that it doesn't really allow a lot of breathing room. For example, like for some teams, they only play 2 matches, and they have a long break until then. Maybe time to correct some of those issues as well, heading deeper. I think, yeah, there was just a lot of uncertainty with a lot of the early matches that got played, where you don't know. A lot of teams had no information in terms of what teams played at the beginning off the rip. They did later, and they still didn't use it. But
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I don't know whether to cut them some slack or whether to.
I think it's reasonable, right? Because
Yeah.
they lost the game with the crazy tech pause in overtime. They played one DMV.
No slack. BG.
None?
No slack?
BG. Like
None?
the slack for the T1 game, sure. But
Okay.
the global game, no slack.
I think that's fair. I
I'm up
think that's
straight.
fair.
I am stiff as a board.
Okay,
Don't
but
quote that.
I think I think we don't give them slack for what they did, but we give them something for the future. I'm really trying to spin this into a positive way, and I can't. They picked Solo Viper, man.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna have time. They're gonna have time. to
Ye's
play their
on
issues.
Viper.
They've hit the bottom.
Please.
Like you got to bounce off something, and I think this
There's
is
the
the bottom.
narrative. It's only up from here, baby.
Well, no,
we found it.
See, this
we
is the
found
thing though. In
code.
Pacific, you can't be on the bottom because DFM are the actual bot. Like you can't.
Whoa.
Hey,
Whoa,
give GE
whoa,
some
whoa.
credit.
Why are we whoa in here?
Dude,
You
I
don't
saw
agree?
some.
Yeah,
I
Sliggy,
saw,
they haven't won
No,
a game.
no, whoa. There's some actual positives there though. Like, we're trying to like
Yes.
bleed a rock out here with Bleed, literally trying to like get some kind of positives. There's more positives from what I saw from DFM. They actually have a smart new wall over towards.
Look, I agree with you. Sliggy.
on A
I
on
watched
Lotus.
DFM. I watched DFM, and
well, amazing is strong. Amazing never happened.
It's confirmed, people.
I just said I think
they-
when they win
they-
a game.
I'm saying they might not be bottom.
Might not be
Wow.
bottom of the pack. Wow.
I mean, congratulations to DFM. This is the biggest improvement we've ever seen in
Yeah.
their history.
Do we want to keep talking about global? I mean, you guys seem to have some pent-up aggression regarding this
God.
team. I don't know if I
You
would
know,
want to touch
let me
this.
say
I think
something nice about
TMV's
global.
traumatized.
Let me say something nice about global.
Uh-huh.
Olvi uses the outlaw a lot when other teams are on ecos, and it wins them rounds. I like and Pacific in general. I think use the outlaw in a good way. I think there was multiple examples of teams using the outlaw and getting good value from it.
Yeah.
Other
You're a
than
fan
that,
of the plant but lose the round and buy the outlaw anyway strat?
yeah.
You like that?
You don't?
What, you plant but you lost the round, so you have 2,400 credits and you
You're
spend
talking
all on
pistol
an
round.
outlaw for the second round.
Bro, I've been spitting that idea since the outlaw came out. I've been spitting that idea.
I didn't see any teams win with it.
Oh, it definitely didn't win anything now.
Oh no, but the thing is, you only need to do it a couple times, and then it forces your opponents to buy full shield specters,
That is true.
and then they
you're
got a
thinking
shit
like
bonus.
the
I'm like,
long
you'll be
con.
fine. You got
What
full
if you're
right,
playing
especially on
against an
attack.
opponent? What if you're playing
You're on
against an
attack.
opponent
You
that's
don't.
so
One person
stupid
doesn't
that
need a
they
gun
don't-
on
they don't
attack.
even-
Just put your
they don't
fucking
think like
breach on a
that.
classic or something. You'll pick up a gun.
They're actually TMV, the Sun Tzu of Pacific. Buy the gun once, own the mental game.
I love that you're only positive for GE. You then extended to the whole of Pacific.
I think we should do a challenge. I want
Okay.
each of you to give GE a real honest compliment.
Okay. Their
Crazy.
spacing on Icebox was legit on one map.
Yeah, that player card. I like it. I like
You
that
like the
player
player
card.
No, that doesn't count.
The NFT
something
bro
about
lion. I
It
like
looks like an
something about the
NFT.
team. Something about the team. Their gameplay. It can be anything.
Benkai looked good.
Cool.
So for me, I really like the fact that the collective global esports community is clowning on the dude that keeps using tracker scores to clown on pros. Like they've all rallied against him because it's so fucking stupid of a concept of tracking the ranked tracker scores and trying to judge your team's success off of it. That they've rallied against. That's what I like about GE.
Hold on. In fact, I have the most positive thing ever to say about G. Kurt, if you can get up the global Twitter, I can't quite find it, but did you see the video that they sent out with the song to sell their thing, Capsule? Did you see the song?
Is
They
this
have
the
a
same as their?
song.
Is this the same as their walk-in song?
Mm.
It was
How do you
banging.
see a song?
Oh, you
That's
go on
very
their
true.
Twitter, you go on whatever global esports Twitter is, global esports in.
Here, well, he
And-
finds that.
Yeah.
I can give my compliment, which
Go on.
is, I like their sunset comp, and I think that playing the like Gecko Initiator combo stuff is good, and I think Russ actually looked pretty good with like setting his teammates up at times. So
Yeah.
good job at
Hold on,
times.
Kurt. I'm putting
Russ.
it in the chat.
It
a
is,
little
yeah,
bit.
it is a little bit inconsistent with some of their stuff. I think if they hadn't, thing is, if they took out and had a normal comp on bind, like that would have given us a lot more to work off of, because they literally started a map.
It's
down.
weird because
Like,
they are playing pretty real comps on like most
Yeah.
of the like. It seems like it is just bind that they are like. I don't know
And-
what they're thinking.
and this was the thing where I was like, with this team, at least they got loads of brains, and we'll see some like cool stuff, and then they come out with this, and I was just like, oh man.
You got to
It's the
listen
complete
to it.
opposite.
You got to crank the sound
What
up.
is this?
You gotta
I'm
crank
not.
the
I don't
sound
want to
up.
listen to this. I'm scared.
No,
Actually,
no,
don't.
It's...
So I'm in the streamer
Oh
room
my
at
goodness.
Riot right now on like the most jank setup right now. I did not configure audio properly except for you guys.
no.
So
We
if I
can't
turn
listen.
the
This is
sound
so
on, it
Okay,
might
we can
kill
watch
people.
the song.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the
We're gonna
song.
watch. We can watch the song.
GE fighting. GE
Why are
fighting.
they
That's
looking
basically the
around?
song, to be honest. But you're gonna,
GE fighting.
yeah.
GE
GE
fighting.
See how
to
they're
be
starting?
winning.
See how they're starting to
winning.
bump
So
their
we're
heads?
drilling,
See how
we're
they're starting
drilling.
to?
We
You can tell it's a
drilling.
good
Not
song.
chilling. So we win and we winning. Sad
I
SK
think-
Rossi.
I think this is their walkout music. It might be the same one. It was banging. If it is
Hmm.
what I'm thinking.
GE fighting.
You don't capture the soul of the song without the audio.
We are here now.
It turns out that
to
songs
win
are an
everything.
audio format. Who knew?
GE fighting. GE fighting. What do you mean I'm singing it? We will
Yeah,
reach
this
new
is-
heights
this sounds like
unmatched
the
by anyone.
Fucking TikTok voice, just like
GE fighting.
repeating the captions.
GE fighting. We have overcome
Okay,
all
right,
obstacles to
throw
get to
us
this
up the screen.
point.
Get us up the screen. There's one more
GE
topic I want to
fighting.
talk about in Pacific. We actually
GE
made
fighting.
time. We made time. We made time on Pacific. We
GE
actually
fighting.
we allocated an hour for each region, and we've only been 40 minutes, and we
We can
have
talk
actually
Zeta.
gone through all of them. I don't want to talk
I
Zeta.
don't want to talk
actually.
Zeta.
What I do want to talk about
I-
is RRQ.
Well, can we go back to Zeta at one point?
You
though?
want to talk about Zeta? Okay.
Yeah, I want
to.
to, dude. If we're gonna flame global, you've got to flame Zeta. Like we need to do
this
the.
guy right here, Japan. Him.
Just a shame.
Yeah.
Wyatt
Please
is
don't
very
make
good.
this
No.
mistake. Slicky, I beg you. Please don't make this mistake.
I know we have to address it. Like we have to. Let's
Wait,
be,
before Sliggy talks, the
Go on.
Plat Chat Corporation loves Japan. Your culture is beautiful. The Japanese people have been nothing but kind and gracious to this podcast and this show, and we thank you for your patronage, and we love your beautiful country and culture.
But your bundle, Zeta, fucking sucks.
Shut up! We love Japan! We love Japan!
That wasn't blood chat. That wasn't blood chat.
That-
He's a contractor. He's
they
a
don't speak
contractor.
for us.
He doesn't speak for us. Team leader
Shred
doesn't
his
speak for us.
contract, Kurt. Get him off the
He's
show.
a contractor. Doesn't speak. All right, Sliggy, say
Yeah.
your piece.
Okay, I will. Okay, I'll cover my back and say
He's gone.
and say I'm a big fan of Zeta, like in previous years. Big fan of Zeta in previous years, but this was a really bad showing. We're playing Icebox and we don't understand. Like their comp doesn't make sense, or at least their comp on paper makes sense, but then they're not using it right. Like they have no delay on either side, so they can never get over towards the sites and they can't stop plants. Like the understanding of Icebox is just fully wrong. Like they don't get the basics on defense here. It is wrong. And then at the same time they're playing against GE. When they play the solo Viper, they're going for duels and like where GE want to fight. Like it's crazy. Like they're playing the worst you can possibly play against that comp. I just think that their understanding on certain maps is a big worry, and especially when they have 6 coaches. I don't know what's going on over there.
What I love about it, Sticky, though, is they lost 13-1 to Secret, like having an awful defense. Gen.G come right back and say, yeah, we'll pick that map against you, please. And they go, yeah, we'll start defense.
Yeah, no, this is the thing that they're starting like Harbor. What is it, Harbor Viper or something, or is it Harbor Jet? No, I think it's Harbor
Yeah, it's
Viper
Harbor
over
Viper
towards B,
with the Jet,
and it's and then like the Killjoys over towards A. So they're like they have a little bit of delay, but not too much delay. And then the rotate comes in. They've only got like 3 people to fight on site, and it's just like, why is the Harbor here if you're going to be playing like this? It's a really bad fundamental understanding on Icebox, and it needs to be redone. So yeah, that for me is a worrying sign, especially when you have so many coaches to have such a misunderstanding on a map. Yeah, I'm a bit worried.
I thought Carlisle coming into the team would have been a big step up, because I've been a big spokesperson for having teams from like coaches from EMEA and like Americas coming in over to Pacific to teach that, because I think one of the biggest things that's always been missing from a lot of these Pacific teams is that macro play, right? The either understanding of how to play certain comps or understanding how to play the map, and it just bleeds into their gameplay. And so when Carlisle was announced as team, I was like, okay, I actually really like this. I mean, this guy comes from a region where, you know, they were relatively competitive, I suppose, to a degree, but I thought he was going to be able to do a lot of good.
I mean, they like made champs when they were playing in Brazil pre-Americas, and I mean they kind of choked the second half of Americas, but like had some really good ideas in the first half. Like I think the Carlisle stocks high is respectable.
Maybe it's just too many cooks. Maybe he's just being too polite.
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah, it is just. It also feels like, again, we got to give a lot of teams benefit in terms of like 3 weeks with the sky changes. Maybe they were doing Skirmish,
Sure.
the sky's the best map for this one, but yeah, I think like it's hard to focus on in like maybe you're focusing on other maps. Like when that's happening, but yeah, on their defense, I do think you gotta, especially when you have a harbor, it's like it's delayed. You delay on one, you fight on the other. The harbor goes over towards delay. You put the cove up, you defuse, and you create chaos. It's one of the most simple maps, and to see it played in theory at this skill at the level that it should be is crazy, man. This was one of the worst maps I watched.
Did anything good to say about the individuals, the newcomers?
I think the individuals are looking good. I think the 2 new players, the only thing that I see in terms of criticism is like sometimes their utility is slightly off in terms of just the timing, especially when I'm watching some of the Sova players. Like especially on Ascent, it's like I think it's Uran. He needs to be a little bit stricter with his recon on defense on Ascent. But in terms of like the fragging roles, I'm not too worried about him. It just feels like the actual understanding against either the comp they're playing or their comp that is really letting them down at the moment.
Damn. Well, that's it.
If we were flaming GE, we got to talk about. You got to make it equal.
Bit of parity. There's one topic that I want to round out the specific segment, and it's talking about RRQ as a team, because RRQ, the power of hindsight, might have had one of the toughest group, if not the toughest group that they were in, versus Gen.G, versus PaperX. Where do we stand with RRQ as a team? Because I was pretty high up on them. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, they're probably gonna come through as a second-seeded team. I didn't expect Gen.G to do as well as they did, and I was like, they're gonna come out of that group, and I think they're gonna be at the top of the group in the play-ins.
Their VLR is so funny
Yeah,
that you pull it
look
up
at
and
that.
it's 1-2 Gen.G, 1-2 Gen.G, 1-2 Gen.G.
I mean, just what is this? I mean, what? So expectations for RRQ, where were they at initially? Where do we stand on them now when you've just seen them scrim against Gen.G 3 times in a row?
Yeah,
Like, what do we
it's hard
think?
to judge. I mean, in theory, they got an upgrade, at least on paper. And I think honestly, they probably kind of looked at the same level, which I think if you're kind of like changing some stuff up, it can be, it's a good sign. The problem is, like you're saying, like it's so hard to judge when you're just looking against one team. And Gen.G, of course, look incredible. So I think there's still a lot of positives to take away from it. I'm kind of similar to like DRX. I'm not like super worried about them, to be honest. I think they still should be one of the better contenders for like making champs. Yeah, it's just an unlucky group sometimes.
Yeah. For me with RRQ, it's like there's kind of I think a bit of an open space in Pacific to like that middle of the pack is kind of like who knows what's going on, to be honest, in Pacific. I think the problem that RRQ might face is that right now, at least, I think the 4 teams that made playoffs, I think will probably be the best 4 teams. You know, like there's maybe a bit of a gap there between like the top 4 and the rest. So if that is the case, then, you know, how do can they make a tournament if it is just that top 4 and, you know, it's kind of Korea dominated, I suppose, with PaperX in there? That will be the kind of challenge for them, is can they break into that? But yeah, the thing is with RRQ though as well, they're always that team, and I know that Choba was smoking something because like he was picking RRQ to like beat PaperX and you know go all the
really
way
high
and
up.
whatever.
You didn't see the bank statements? They paid him off. It was in the Panama Papers.
Oh, the transparency there. is leaked.
Yeah, but I don't know what he was smoking. But RRQ have kind of always been that team like, oh, RRQ, they're going to be better than everyone expects. Just you wait. And they haven't ever kind of done it. And maybe that's just because I kind of did it last year as well and kind of had a bit of a belief in
this piece.
Like I like you, Bren, though. I had a bit of belief this year as well.
I still think they're. I don't really agree with
Yeah,
your
but I
take.
want
I
to
think
see
the
them
top
actually
4 that we've got
fucking
are going to
do
be.
it.
But they
I don't
played
think the top
Gen.G
top
twice,
4
and
yeah,
we just spent like half the
Yeah,
segment
but,
glazing
we can
Gen.G.
glaze Gen.G all we want, but the truth of it is, Gen.G should have been eliminated. Team Secret should have closed out the Icebox against Gen.G and won and knocked Gen.G out of playoffs. Gen.G in the playoffs, you know, like they were good throughout the tournament, but then in playoffs they woke up.
And
right?
how will this affect RRQ's legacy?
Yeah, but they could have been out. You know, so I'm not sure that the Gen.G that played against RRQ was...
RRQ were arguably a pistol round away from beating Gen.G and making it as the second seed team in that group.
I feel like kind of
just put
inarguably
that
when it's 2-2-1s, like any little thing like that could have made the difference. They were close games.
They lost both the pistols on the final map of Icebox, and it was 13-11 to Gen.G. Like I think that this team does stand a chance of really fighting into the top spot as well. I mean, Jemkin's we knew this guy was in that. I knew he was not heading into this. He's a ridiculous player. I think this team's got some legs. I think they just drew the unfortunate group. We're going to touch on that, I think, as well when we talk about the other regions a little bit later on, about some of the stronger groups in other regions, because I'm gonna propose the same question about some of the teams that went out very early on, just talking about the relative strength of them. But I think RRQ is one of them where this doesn't showcase a lot. We have a shitty format, yes. And unfortunately, it leads to situations like this, like where you just don't get to see the best out of teams that potentially might be the best.
Yeah, it sucks when there's quite a few teams that only got to play one team. Like, you know, that is kind of like, that feels bad.
Yeah, we were worried in this format about so many little things, and we didn't really think about stuff like this. The fact that potentially in the play-ins we'd get useless maps, which we got 3 of them, 1 in the EMEA and 2 in Americas. Like, we were complaining, we're like, oh damn, this is awful, like singular limb. But then this stuff we kind of didn't really think about was beyond awful. It was, oh man, I had to turn my stream off. Like, I'd watch every single game, but I'm not sitting there for Sentinels. Like, I've seen too many scrims. It's a scrim. Like, I don't want to watch a scrim. I'm out, man. Like,
My brain still
awful.
hasn't escaped that fucking arena. I'm
You went
still
from the
there.
cast. You went from the cast directly to a flight.
Okay, so
woke
I
up
went
on the other end of the flight.
and directly to Plat Chat. So I've slept maybe 3 hours since that match.
That is.
To now be here back home.
Godspeed. Godspeed.
Oh my god. Yeah, the format was not it. With the I mean, just round robin between 3 teams. I don't know how to make a better format with 11 teams. I think the 11 teams just trolls it, and the time crunch with China. Like, I understand why it was like this, but man, does it feel kind of deflating to have those games that just don't matter.
You gotta accept that you gotta do round robin best of ones before and just have four go through into double elim. Like, you have to accept it. It's better than this.
But I think they're just so unwilling to do BO1s, and I kind of agree. Like,
because then everyone gets to at least play everyone, and you should at least get the top 4 in your region.
Like, there's so much variance per map.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it should equal itself
but if
out
it's
when you're playing
robin,
10 best of ones.
But then also 10 best of ones as like a broadcast product is like brutal as a viewer experience.
You can squeeze them
too.
out.
Like,
We're doing 3 best of 3 in a day. You can get 9 best of ones.
What?
Jesus
Well, you can squeeze them out, but then you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking about the poor analyst desk, and they've got to build 10 different story point narratives.
I mean,
for
you
10
just
different
would only do
matches.
post-map segments.
Yeah, just do post.
Yeah, I
Just cover
suppose.
while they're switching the teams out.
Yeah.
Just make it
Anyway,
a
just
yap
gritty.
run.
That's
Just
Pacific.
yeah, just create in between.
I'll right before we move on, and don't do the gritty, please.
I don't know how.
You don't know how? That's
One
fine.
day
I
I'll
won't-
learn.
I won't teach you. Don't learn from me. Don't learn from me. I was going too quickly. But general heat check of Pacific into Madrid, heading into Madrid. Obviously, we don't know what the other teams are yet. They're going to be joining them. But the relative levels, where do you think Pacific stands a chance? Is this going to be the event where Pacific wins an event at an international level?
Nope.
Or you don't think so?
Nope.
No.
No.
This
It's
is
not
gonna.
looking like
Last year was the year where Pacific started having pretty good international performances. Maybe it will be later. I think Gen.G could have potential, but I don't think Paper X is going to be as good as they were last year. Honestly, I don't see either of these teams in the top 4.
Well, Plat Chat guarantee. Paper X winning it all. or
Wait, it's only
Gen.G.
8 teams.
Um,
I'll
Yeah,
say
I was gonna
I
say,
see
yeah.
neither in the
Teams.
top 3. I could see one of them in the top 4.
Okay. A little bit of wiggle
Rolling
room.
it back, rolling it back. All right, that was. I mean, we literally got through that in record time. I'm not gonna lie, I thought we were gonna take way longer. Let's move on to EMEA, and with that, I hand over the hosting reins to
My
Mimi.
turn.
It's
Bren?
Mimi's turn.
Bren's been in the fucking dungeon. Are you ready to? So Bren, can you talk through? How did you get here to having watched no EMEA to now having
Okay,
watched
so
how much?
I
of
watched a little bit of EMEA. Like, for example, I got into, I flew in from Austin to Korea, jet lagged out
Okay.
of my mind. I had 3 days before I flew to LA for Americas. In those 3 days, I had to unpack my apartment from the storage unit. I had to set up my utilities. I had to unfreeze all my credit shit because I thought I was a victim of identity fraud. I had to, and then I was just watching the games while I was doing all of this, like on one of the monitors that I set up that was on the floor because I hadn't built any of my furniture. And so I was watching little bits and pieces, but then I was like, okay, I gotta knuckle down. I gotta hit the Sigma grind set. And so I downloaded like 8 hours of EMEA VODs of the most critical matches of the teams that qualified. And I even watched some VODs this morning as well of Karmine Corp. I watched the tail end of the Karmine Corp VODs. And what I did was download them onto my phone. This is my setup right now, by the way. I've got a fucking mattress against the wall trying to block out the noise. I've got the fucking boxes all over the place. I haven't set up anything other than just watching Valorant.
What I
Valorant has
just
been my
heard,
life.
what I just heard sounds like an XQC clip.
Yeah, it did.
I'm telling you, it's been manic. I haven't had any time to rest because we've just been working Americans and then flying back. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, EMEA downloaded 8 hours of VODs on the plane. One team pulled it up. Boom. Watch the pistol round. Boom. Next round. Skip ahead. Did they lose to an anti-eco? If they did, I'd watch it. If not, skip ahead to the next round. Gun round. Boom. And if you skip like the 10 seconds, the replays, the timeouts, the tech pauses, and
You can crush
the
a match in
rounds,
like 25 minutes.
you can. I found out you can crush a match in sometimes even less time than that if it was a really fast one. Fnatic, I got done in like an hour. It was insane. I was like, dude, Fnatic they look unreal. I've seen everything. I've seen it all. And yeah, I'm missing some of the minutia, but I'm fully caught up on EMEA within like one flight to Austin. I got on at 1 a.m., went to bed, processed the information in my brain, got up this morning, watched the rest of Karmine Corp, allez français, come and go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pop off my EMEA.
I don't think you say "Allez français."
Allez français. That's like go on France, isn't it?
No, but français does not mean France. It means French.
Go on French.
That's
Yeah.
me when I'm ordering a hot dog and I want mustard. That was a joke for the Americans. Didn't fucking hit. God damn.
I didn't get
Dude,
Wait,
dude,
what?
everyone from Chicago is gonna get that one. You fucking Brits wouldn't understand, all right? You don't get my fucking culture. Well, let's talk about your culture. Team Liquid, Sliggy, your boys. Your
Can I go
boys.
last?
Are they bad, or did they just have two really tough games? They end this in the group stage. I think a disappointment from what a lot of people thought about the squad at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it is a disappointment. I think there's a few things that are like worrying me. It's first of all, I think the Navi game they look good, especially I think Liquid look good on split is where I'm at least attack split. That's like one of the biggest things I can take away. And then I think they did just kind of get outsmarted in this, especially when I look over at split, like the game plan from Navi, and we'll get onto Navi a little bit. Like they're just good at snowballing, and when they win double pistol, and Liquid can't win a pistol, by the way, their pistol record is horrendous at the moment, so that's not helping. I think they're too safe. Like I think they're playing it way too safe. It's like they don't have much of an identity, and like in all these maps, they're just like, well, we don't want to do anything too risky. Whereas I think with like this team, I think they have to lean into some kind of identity and take like a little bit of a risk, whether it's like Gecko based or like hard double controller or something like that. So yeah, I'm worried. I am worried, and especially as it was like on the maps they did win, it was like individuals kind of really carrying them over. I mean, 37 kills in one map is one of the most insane things we've seen, especially in the rounds. It was 13-10, right? Didn't even play out like that's insane. We didn't even play out all the rounds. So yeah, the individuals are kind of popping to an extent, but like the overall stuff is it's a mix of like I want them to take a risk, but not the risk when it's like a big buy round and you're walking through smoke, which I did see, and that shouldn't be happening. But like more of a risk in terms of like just anything, whether it's comp wise or being just a little bit unreadable, because it was, especially in this Navi game, it was just like we take this or we lost this map control, let's push somewhere else, and Angel's just waiting in a corner like, yes, we've taken this bit of map control, I know two people are gonna be pushing me, and it was just it just feels like they lack identity. They're just too safe. They've just looked at other stuff that's happened in the past, and teams are so used to pracking against this. This is what teams want to play. They're playing all these teams, and every team kind of just plays like this. You need to, at least on one of these maps or like two of these maps, take some kind of risk and have anything that's different, and teams have to like struggle on the fly. At the moment, especially in kickoff, so many teams struggle on the fly to adapt to new comps or like work out like what is the weakness of this comp.
It's a
like
strong format for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
But that kind of makes me want to ask the question then. Do you think that they were just using this tournament as an opportunity to just hone the fundamentals, play the basic stuff, don't overcook it too much? We're not expected to make it to Madrid. We're going to get our ducks in a row for the regular season. Or is this something where we should be kind of worried about the future?
Damn, I wanna go with the first one. Like I do want to go with the first one, but I'm a little bit worried. Straight up.
TMV, are you also worried?
I think what it was is when Koi beat Liquid, I was like, maybe Koi are actually quite good. And then I watched the play-ins again, and I was like,
Yeah, I even messaged Bacon, and I was like, it's right. Koi looked kind of good, and then literally I was like before the whole day of play-ins, and then I watched Koi, and I'm like, damn, Koi are looking not like they're not looking good right now.
Yeah, like Koi playing in the play-ins made me feel a lot worse about Team Liquid.
Yes, yeah, it
because,
did. But
go on,
you go. There you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's exactly what you say. It just feels like they had, and so many of the teams in EMEA were cooking, going with like really, really out there comps and like having their own style and stuff like that. And so then you come to Liquid, like, playing an Icebox comp from 2021, it just feels like, and then it just felt like, nothing was like, other than Kiko on that like first map, obviously, where he's absolutely destroying, and it's like, oh my god, if he's that good, like, wow. They're gonna, like, genuinely after that first map, I was like, oh my god, if he's this good, Liquid are gonna be like challenging NAVI and Fnatic, but then for the rest of it, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels like they're just like they've become a team that's like, they're okay. They don't do anything like particularly, special. They just, they're all right. And being
Yeah.
just all right and not having much about you, like, it's just not going to get you far. And especially when I think we've seen some of the other EMEA teams, which is the opposite of what we were talking about with Pacific, where we feel like Pacific maybe even got a little worse. EMEA, like, it feels like everyone has gotten quite a bit better, in my opinion. Even teams that obviously we expected nothing from, like Team Heretics, like.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh,
Uh-oh.
oh, Team Liquid has DDoSed him.
UK internet.
You got it, you
Striking
got it.
again. I think you're back.
Am I
Hello,
back?
I think you're
You're
back.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
back,
you're
you're
back.
back.
You're back.
You're back.
Try again.
Yeah, Team Liquid are just meh. That's the point.
I agree.
That's the thesis.
Yeah, watching this team, there was nothing special about them. It felt like a very, very bog standard team, but they didn't have very robust protocols going into many maps at all. And when the going got rough for them, they had to rely on weird lurks, weird plays, weird individual moments to carry them through. Which, listen, we've been saying that about a lot of teams actually so far, just on this show alone.
For the way you guys are describing them, they sound very similar to Gen.G, what we were just talking about.
Kind of, yeah.
But Gen.G win an outrageous amount of gunfights. That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's when the going gets rough, I don't know, it just feels like there's no, it's a weird one. I'm going to go very surface level here as well and just talk about Enzo as an individual as well, because IGLing aside, I think that you just need, you cannot expect to win an international event when you're not putting up big numbers, if you just can't follow up. Like, there's a reason why Boaster has put a significant amount of focus on aim training this year. And I think it's a really smart heads up play from him, to be honest, to put that much focus onto it when it's because it's Fnatic's biggest problem in the past, like when they would lose rounds. Obviously, they've got the firepower with the other 4 players, but it was never the calling that was really going wrong for them. And it was never really the structure that they put in. It comes down to that. And I think if you're going to be a top team aiming for top spots, you need everybody to be an absolute weapon at a given moment. You need anybody to be able to just pull out a magical moment. I thought Boaster really stepped up, actually, of the small amount of maps that we saw from him. We'll talk about Fnatic a little bit later on, probably. But yeah, you could really actually show it paying off for him as an individual. He looked like, instead of it just being Boaster being carried by 4 individuals when it comes to like the mechanic side, it looked like he could hold his own and more. Like he was the one who was pulling off multi-kills. And you don't really see that with Enzo as a player. I don't see that as Enzo as a player at the moment. I think that there's too much catch up with this team when the way they're playing. It feels like when shit goes wrong and he's calling, and you just end up with a situation where he's just floundering in some of these maps, which there's a lot going on. I don't blame that. IGLing's really fucking hard. There's a reason why you only have a handful of bragging IGL players, and that's why I said it was going to be a very surface level take. But as long as Team Liquid stays like this, even if they fix some of these protocols and get a little bit more robust on these maps and throw in some special mixes, like you were saying, Slee, throwing in some risks with the way that they play some of these maps, as long as they remain the way they are and just shore up that alone, it's not going to be enough to win an event. I don't know if that's their goal as a team. I imagine it is with the amount of talent they have. That has to be the goal, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Okay, so we've been kind of negative Nancy's. I want to ask, if Team Liquid is going to end up being good, if they're going to turn this around in the EMEA season, what light did we see in them playing in Kickoff? What is there anything that excites you guys about Team Liquid watching them?
So I'd say again that I think their split, especially on attack, is really cool. I think that's good. I think Yampi, even though it's not like high fragging, the actual like fast kills to fast deaths, and in terms of like how he's playing for like the filling role, it kind of gives me confidence. And Kiko also, I think, as well, if we can kind of. And I'm not saying you're going to hit 37 every single time, because that's impossible. But I think if we can kind of like maybe play around him a bit more, just like really
even if he just like hits 36, 35, they could still be great.
yeah, just a few under, just a few under. And I think Mystics as well has been kind of been looking at least like clutch in some of the rounds. So I think there's some good to take from it. Yeah, that's pretty much
sound
it.
Jaded.
That's kind of I mean, yeah, a little bit. I was thinking they would look a lot better than this, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
It
as well,
seems to be
the
the story
problem
with this
is for
team.
Liquid that everyone else
Has stepped up.
Yeah, they look decent. Like that's I think the main problem for them is that I was considering Liquid to be like, okay, they're probably going to be like 4th, 5th, 6th in the EMEA, and then we'll see where they are from there. Instead, now it looks like you might be like 8th now, and like that's a lot of teams that you're gonna have to like overtake to just to even be challenging, like obviously if you finish 8th in like the regular season split, like you're not even going to playoffs, right? So like they have to catch up essentially, and it's not impossible. Like they do have the players to do it, but they need to work on some stuff. I think they need to shake something up. I don't know.
I got a real positive. It's a better start than last year.
A better start than the game where like E6 lines were flooded with calls after watching it. Good to hear, honestly.
The lock-in opening was tragic. I mean, you're right about that.
Was that the worst game of Valorant you guys? It might be the worst game of Valorant I've ever watched.
I've seen some shockers.
Yeah.
It was particularly
Team
bad 'cause the
Secret had some nice
expectations-
Viper Shock Dart lineups. That's what I remember from that game.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was bad because the expectations were
Yes. I think there has been worse Valorant ranked.
They looked like a
Valorant
Premier
games.
team in that game. It was mad. It was actual madness.
I think some Premier teams could have beaten that Liquid, but
Yeah.
this Liquid, I don't think our Premier team can meet. So, honestly, upgrades already.
Yeah, there's something to build upon.
But I want to turn the attention now to the teams who aren't in the Doomer territory, the teams who turned it around a little bit from last year, and Navi in particular. They seem to be back. They've picked their boy up. They've paid Artis's bail. He's escaped North America. Hamburgers in hand from McDonald's, taking some culture back to Europe with him, and seemingly re-vitalizing this Navi squad.
Dude.
Brennan, are you hyped? Is Navi
Last
back?
year, I can't remember what tournament it was. I think it may have been Champs, maybe, that Navi was qualing for. And I said, like, I expect Navi to qual in their group. Was it Champs?
They had a
Assuming
tough
so.
group in Champs.
And they qualified, right?
No.
No,
They had the
got-
DRX Loud
qualing for
Liquid
Champs.
group.
Qualing for Champs. Or was it?
Like you're talking about like EMEA regular season.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was an instance though where Navi had been trolling. Everybody doubted them. Me, I was like, hold on. When I watched this team, was it Tokyo? I
Do you
can't
mean
even remember,
LCQ?
genuinely. Might have been LCQ. I don't remember.
Where they beat Koi and K. I don't think it was LCQ.
No, probably not. Was it Tokyo?
Yeah, they lost to Edward
maybe?
Gaming and NRG.
They lost, yeah, but they're good teams. So well, maybe not NRG at that point. My point. The point I'm trying to get. I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted. I need to formalize my thoughts. Okay, Navi. The one thing that I always thought was really good about this team was the macro play. The way they work the map, Angel's calling based on that. He would spot gaps in teams' protocols a lot, whether it's attack side, defense side, whatever, and he would call appropriately based on that. The thing that they fucked up all the time was taking LSD before coming up with comp ideas. And so now they've gone teetotal. No more drugs before the comp ideas, because I said this a little bit earlier. I think Navi had a problem where the individuals were so fucking good that they got led astray. The red herring, they were chasing it. They were chasing the fucking red herring because they were playing silly comps, and they were, I'm assuming, winning in scrims, and they were under the impression that the comps were good. But they couldn't identify that the fact that they were winning scrims is because of the individuals, because I'm still seeing that even now. You're seeing players like Sugetsu, Shao, Artis, popping the fuck off on winning rounds single-handedly when they're player down scenarios, and I'm still seeing the really good stuff that I saw from Angel's Calling, which is them actually working the map pretty effectively, spotting those gaps, finding those first kills. Yeah, there's a little bit of inting every now and then, but overall, looks pretty good. The thing that they need is a little bit of time, I think, because from what we did see, it's like one half of a map will look really good, the other half won't look as fleshed out.
Look at him
and
go.
so this was, I couldn't believe what I was watching when I saw this. I was like, what the fuck is Angel doing? He's back to it again. But there's stuff to work with here because they're not starting from 20 steps back like they were last year. The comps are actually kind of tested. They're using shit from Copenhagen 2022 on Breeze. I don't know if you guys noticed this. Their mid take was the same. I was watching this. I was like, what fun am I watching? But listen, if it fucking works, it works. I know the map's changed, but it still works for them to take this shit. They're using some of the old stuff that they know actually works. They're playing some relatively normal comps. Yours it's very hot right now. So I think Navi, they look like I think they're on the right path to looking like a really, really good team.
And guess what? It's not Angel playing the Yoru this time. We've gotten a change since 2021. It's a beautiful world. Yeah, before we continue talking about this team, I just want each of you, 1 to 10 number, tell me, on a scale of Angel 10, Omen teleporting every round, inting away, living his truth, dropping a 40
I have a hot
bomb,
take about Angel
to
inting,
0,
though.
good, honest IGL doing nothing but calling. What's he at right now in EMEA?
It's in comparison to how he was. It's kind of low. The
Yeah.
only. Did you,
That clip doesn't help.
There was 2 rounds. There was that one that we saw, and then did anyone catch the one where he like there was a smoke in A main and he just jumped out on his own, and he had the spike.
Yeah, and he's just thrown it.
There was a few, but even with them, I would say he's on like a low 3 for him, just because of how
Okay.
crazy he can get.
He's saving it up for Madrid.
I don't think Angel inting is a bad thing. I'll say it. I'll stand up and say it. I don't think Angel inting is a bad thing. I'll be the one to fucking say it, because the team inherently, he fulfills the same role that Victor did back when it was the old Optic core, and it was like Victor would just throw his body into the fucking site, and he'd be set up by the tiniest amounts of util, and he might go 1 for 1, but he would often end a map just like 5 and 14, and it wasn't his fault. That was just his role. He was thrown into the blender, but luckily they had Ye behind him. I think Angel fulfills a similar purpose in life, where he is born to call a good game plan from the fucking grave and also throw his body to the wind so that other people can play off of it. He hasn't been doing it that much, but I genuinely would defend his inting last year. I would genuinely defend it.
I think the only problem with that argument, Brent, is, yeah, sure, that's fine. But, like, Victor was playing, like, Neon and Raze. He's playing,
he's on
Smokes and Breach.
Oh, it's 10 seconds into the round, and we don't have a rolling thunder because my
in
breach has died
theory,
on site.
You want those roles to survive because they have regenerative util and they get more value the longer they survive. But if no one's going to do it, he might as well.
Sure. Anyway, let's get to Navi. Yeah, it's funny that, I mean, I remember, though, why Angel was on Yoru is because Artist said, I'm never playing that agent. I don't like the agent. I don't want to play it. And now he looks insane on Yoru. I mean, they're cooking on Breeze with, I mean, some of the plays that he's making as well. Like
The body block. Is
Yeah,
this
he
round?
just- he-
Oh, yes.
yeah, he looks
yes.
really good on this. Like, genuinely, and this gives me, like, such hopium. And I remember watching an interview with them, with Doom Bros and Angel, just talking about, like, oh, what Artists will mean for the team coming back and all that. And they were just like, you know, the little smile you get on your face, maybe, you know, when you fancy someone and they talk to you and you just feel like, oh, they talk to me. Like, they had just like the little cheeky grin of like, oh, he's back. I can't wait. Like, that's what it was. And then they played well. Yeah, for Artists.
Yeah, he's their
You're saying
little guy. They missed him.
They had a school playground crush on Artists, and he's back finally in their lives.
It's like, have you seen those videos of like the father coming back from the military and the little kid is running up and hugging them? It was that. The dogs involved the little kid. Oh, Dad's back from his tour. Yes. I thought he was gonna die over there. It's so beautiful to watch. I do have a conspiracy theory about this, about why. Oh, look at that little guy. Artist is so cute in that one. But my conspiracy theory is that the reason Navi isn't running these crazy, ridiculous LSD comps anymore is because Artist's time at NRG, he grew a spine. But I'm not saying he was spineless before. I think he always did, but I think it is strengthened. It is turned to titanium playing with NRG. They put him on Killjoy for 5 weeks in a row. Immediately after they get their first win, he's on a post-match interview. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck we were doing. Really glad we're doing that. He learned that he's done with IGL's bullshit. No more silly comps. No more Artists on random roles. We are playing good, honest Valorant. And I think he has brought that back. And he's like, Angel, mate, if you're going to fucking bring me back on the team, you're not putting me on any dumb fucking roles. I'm not fucking playing your comp. You don't get about yours.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm playing the fucking Euro. I think that's real. And that's why their comps are good. That's why he's playing great. That's why Navi actually looks good.
I like
Yep.
that. I also like that theory a lot.
I also think it's nice that he has a bit of freedom. It feels like he has a bit of freedom. I like seeing him on like the op and just actually giving him opportunities to just kind of take picks that he wants to take. The main thing of when I look about Navi in terms of how they're looking they pretty much, in my mind, won Copenhagen. Just from like, obviously they were a good team, but the thing that gave them the edge was always their approach to like the second rounds and never getting ecoed and having the best third round you could possibly have. Now in the current like economical climate with the outlaw, like that's a lot easier for them to achieve in terms of these safer second rounds once they win the pistol. So I think that this not that they're using the outlaw too much. I just think that like the pressure of it and making the other teams make sure they have like full ecos, they'll clean it up by doing the whole 3 rifles, 2 ghosts. Then they get the 5 rifles into the next round. I think that they're one of the scariest teams in terms of just snowballing right now and just having like 7-0 starts or like 5-1 starts and just heavy starts, because their pistol strats are good. They're one of the best anti-eco teams. As much as dumb as that sounds, it's very important. And and their conversion already of the third round is looking similar to how they won Copenhagen. So I think in terms of that factor and the fact that like the individuals are looking like really good as well, I think they're a scary team. I think they're like I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but they're looking like a kind of like S team for me in this region.
All right.
People clowned on Plat Chat, by the way, for putting us in the S tier, putting NAVI in the S tier.
The believers
we haven't seen anything
great.
yet. It's still early. Let's wait.
No, they're in the playoffs. That's all we need to talk about. All right, let's move on to the next team that has also seen some big improvements. Heretics. From having, I don't know, a roster last year to now 4-0 through the group stage. They're into the playoffs. And my question to you, TMV, have you ever watched basketball? Hit sport?
I have sometimes, I suppose. Not much, but a bit.
Okay. Are you familiar with Shaquille O'Neal?
I have heard his name before.
And Kobe Bryant?
I have also heard his name before.
Is Boo and Mini Boo not those two people?
Well, I mean, it's another win for nepotism. That's all I know. Nepotism wins again. Again, it's
Nepotism plays
undefeated.
like this. Fucking hire the family. Hire the friends and family. Get them in. Get them in.
Big Boo, Mini Boo,
Yeah,
Boo,
get the fucking
Medium
get
Boo,
everybody in.
Mama
Hawks
Boo,
and the
Dad
family,
Boo.
dog. Dude,
It
they
is
were
crazy,
popping
though.
off.
Those two are the highest rated VLR players across all of the kickoff. It's Boo, and then second is Mini Boo, which is extremely funny. I mean, how Boo has such a high rating whilst IGLing,
That's
like,
insane.
it is absolute insanity that he's playing this well. And after their first game and they beat Foot, I was like, oh shit, like Boo just had a life game. Like, oh my god, like, you know, unlucky Foot, you just ran into someone having their absolute best game of their life. Come to the second game, and then he's still frying out of his mind. And I was like, what the hell? Like, where was this? Who is this guy? Like, was his brother just like all he needed to just realize that, oh, I can fucking shoot back so well all of a sudden because my brother is sitting next to me. Like, I'm gonna, at least like oh, I'm big brother, so now I have to, you know, oh, I'll sort it out, little bro, don't worry. Like, I've got this. Like, yeah, he just turned into an absolute machine. But to be fair to Heretics, it's more than just that. And Gen.G as well, we should say as well. It's been like really good as well. But it, like, the comps that they're cooking up, they're playing some weird stuff. You know, they're playing a no raise bind with a Silver and an Astra. Like, there's some weird stuff going on. But, like, I mean, we're going to talk about Karmine Corp later. And I'm sure we're going to be positive about Karmine Corp. And Heretics fucking bodied them. They absolutely wiped the floor with them. They were 4-1 down, I think, on Lotus. And won 13-4 against Karmine Corp. Like, it was... well, there you go, Bala.
Forgive you, Bala.
The Fortnite community is back. Yeah, they're just insanely. They look insanely good, and they're playing NAVI. Like, that's gonna be a really spicy game because obviously, like, for Heretics, it's like, how good are you really? I think NAVI obviously will be a good test, but like, they could win that game. Like crazy as it is, and I think NAVI are playing really well as well. But like Heretics, like, you know, they didn't have an easy group. You know, like, it wasn't like, oh, you got a lucky draw and away you go. Like, what are a good team? Karmine Corp made it through the play-ins. Like, you know, it's not like they breezed through an easy group and like they're imposters. You know, they aren't EG. You know, like,
you think EG are imposters?
Well,
I think they won one game against an OKG2.
Oh, they won't
get kicked out.
Yeah, I forgot we're firing them after this.
Yeah. But
Heretics good.
Heretics are good.
Yeah,
I like this team
Liggy?
a lot.
Yeah, I was impressed, like really impressed. Again, it kind of shows that like sometimes the pieces, if you get a good environment and all the right pieces, and you kick out like potentially some of the pieces that maybe aren't buying into whatever your system is. We won't mention any names, but like I think that it kind of shows that someone can look relatively underwhelming last year and then look incredibly good, especially if we're just like highlighting literally just Boo on his own. So yeah, I think insane performance from him, having his brother in, and just having like a team where like the vibes are crazy good. We've got to remember they have a stand-in for this event, by the way. Like that is insane. Like Pacific's doing, he's not doing anything crazy. He's doing his role. He's fragging well. He's having good impact. Like he's doing great. He's kind of putting himself on the shop window as well. I think he's doing insane. But yeah, when I look at I think they just kind of outplayed. I think they outplayed Foot overall, and then this K-Corp game, they have completely anti-stratted a team with only one demo out there, and that is very impressive to do. They had a lot of reads, had a lot of early rotates, especially over rotates. Every single time they just, especially on like Lotus here, it just felt like when K-Corp went somewhere, they just had no map control, and they were just like crunched into like a bit of the area, whether it's like just C having no mount control or B just having literally no control at all. So yeah, I think just everyone deserves props in terms of the coaching stuff. First of all, believing in some of the pieces of the team before, and then getting the right pieces in, and just having like probably one of the best anti we've seen so far in Kickoff in terms of this K-Corp game, because it was very impressive. And somehow like Boo doesn't even need to keep up this fragging. Like what he's doing right now is insane things. It shouldn't be possible to keep this one up, but if he can keep to anywhere near this level, they're gonna have a really good year, and they look scary. And I know it's still early, and maybe the Foot kind of messed up a little bit with the first game, but it's good signs that a team can look so dominant just off one demo of another team.
Yeah, I do wonder if they're going to be able to keep up the heat check, the form check of some of the individuals. But I mean, overall, I think they were really good at just being able to. A lot of teams fail. They can play reactively and try and follow the trail of where the teams might be playing. Like for example, here against Karmine Corp. But what would happen is they wouldn't leave those gaps open. Like when Karmine Corp would pivot to B, they would immediately call for like a reclearance of areas that needed to be recleared. And they were on point. And then there was the hesitation at the right moments. They wouldn't just rush into scenarios. They'd wait it out, wait for the right time. Like Patatak controlling one avenue, the round we just saw prior. Everybody waiting for the right time there. Patatak gets his own ult off for the counter pit. And they use the counter pit to just get themselves into the site, the decay damage, a couple of spam kills. It looks clean. I think this team has really, really good just discipline at the right moments. It's not just a team that are getting by fragging. And this game was probably the worst look of Karmine Corp that I've seen out of all the Karmine Corp matches that I watched, to be honest. I definitely think they weren't playing up to scratch compared to where they were at. But I don't want to discredit Heretics either, because Heretics, they've got all the right pieces together.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that this isn't some sort of fluky team that's just made their way through the upper bracket just by having really strong individuals.
But
They've
did
got
they
other
not
pieces to make them a
have
nice team.
the easiest run to make?
No.
They
No.
2-0 FUD
No.
when they're not looking the
No.
greatest, like that.
NAVI, I think,
guys
had the
don't think there's
easiest run.
anything form related here? Like you guys think this is like these two 2-0s are like confident, legit, like all about this squad?
I would argue and say they had the hardest.
Yeah,
To be honest.
I think Foot will feel hard done by, because I think that you could argue that Foot are like the 5th or 6th best team, but they just couldn't make it to play-ins because they had Karmine Corp and Heretics. Like, I'm just so impressed that they have just come out of nowhere. And like, you know, I guess it goes back to your rookie point, I guess, as well. You know, you've got all these like young players who've never been in tier 1. It's just like, you know, it doesn't matter, right? They're just fucking frying out their mind. Like they're just destroying like people who have been there all of last year and you know, acting like it's nothing. Yeah, and I think looking forward to the NAVI game, and that's one of the, maybe other than NRG Sentinels, I think that's the game that I'm really like looking forward to, because there's a world where Heretics like keep going, and then we're all like, oh my god, this team is like truly insane, because as you said, it's like Boo doesn't need to keep this up, but if he does,
Yeah,
but
if he does,
if
he does, they're going champs. Yeah.
All right. Heretics, legit. We'll talk more about them when we have pick'ems, but Allo, Parlons ensuite de la meilleure équipe de l'EMEA. Allez les bleus, c'est Karmine Corp.
Allez les bleus!
Pour Anand,
J'aime
à qui
Karmine Corp.
penses-tu?
J'aime
À qui
Karmine
penses-tu
Corp.
de cette équipe?
Oui. J'ai watch Karmine Corp.
Je veux.
J'ai vu
wait,
Karmine
no,
Corp.
Fuck, what?
My heart goes a flutter when I watch Karmine Corp. Oh, oui. C'est très bien. When I watch Karmine Corp, très bien. Dude, I think this team, they're cooking. I love watching this team in terms of the comps that they're bringing out. I think it really, you're seeing Eng's mind at work here, and just the depth as well. The fact that they're like stealing from other regions with different ideas, and this format, I think it's one of the smartest things you can do in this format is test other teams' adaptability, because it's always going to be slipping. If you throw a comp that they're not ready for, you are going to have a really high chance of the win con. But it's not just that. You got players that are playing out of their fucking minds, man. I mean, Narrate is just an absolute freak of nature, but across the board, I think the entire team looks.
Oh, he's on a French
really
team
good.
now. His name is Nahate.
Narate. I
What are you
I don't know.
saying?
I'm trying to get the like the French do, but I can't do it.
There's
The
Nahate.
team's cooking, and I think that they show really good understanding of what to do in funky scenarios. There was a match in the play-ins on Sunset, I think, versus Vitality, and there was a weird situation where Safe managed to lurk through when they're on get past the defensive protocols, and Safe pits in their spawn, and immediately you see like the little ants, they had just got a hint of a crumb. The pheromone trail points towards the fucking pit because someone makes a call like, we need to clear Safe out of this position. Like, everybody puts the focus onto him, but then it gets a bit crazy, and there was a reaction in kind from Vitality where they start taking rapid control of the one side through elbow, and instead the focus goes down to, okay, player at the back, you're going to lurk through the pit while we crunch these players into elbow and fuck them when they're trying to hit. That was so fucking nice, and I think one of the greatest signs of a team that's got it together in that aspect is being able to pause at the right times, not get carried away with the initial call, and react accordingly, which they did. And there's other teams that do that I think are really good and potential to win it all. Teams like Sentinels do that really well on certain maps, like Split. They are fantastic at really picking and choosing those right timings. But just the ability to sit down in the moment, in a round, and not necessarily counter call, but just immediately reacting to the new information that's going in front of you and making the right decision. And you've got the firepower there, and you've got some really cool comps that I think have some great ideas. Yeah, and this team is looking great. I mean, this is what Karmine Corp is about. Listen, it's not just about clout. It's not just about appeasing to the French. It's about winning, and they're doing it, man. They did it for the play-ins. It was a treat to watch.
Well, we're definitely not appeasing to the French after they heard your attempt to speak their language.
I think
So
that they should
that
be.
one's
I mean,
gone.
the Parisians might be pissed, but I think that the rest of the people in France are quite nice. They'd be like, "Oh, good job." They're like, pat you on the head.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
You did it. You tried. You know.
That's a beautiful thing. This does bring me the question though. That's a lot of positivity about Karmine Corp, and they beat some great teams. What happened with the Heretics game? Should we just write that off as a first match, or
So,
what do you guys make of that?
Okay, where I'm at the moment
Bye,
is I would like to play against them right now if I'm a coach. Like, I would like to play against them. They do have like a set style on a map, on every single map, of how they like to play, especially certain situations. And then I just think that it is. I'm not saying it's a one and done, because I think they have more legs, but I think it's never going to hit as hard. Especially when I look at the Sunset comp, right? And Sentinels were doing something similar to this, where it's literally just like heavy over towards middle, and you just have this comp that can just retake all of these sites just because of the open roof. So Gecko gets so much value. So I'm kind of looking at a lot of these comps, and if I'm a coach at the moment, I'm like, damn, I want to play against K Corp, because I think that you can at least have a pretty good game plan against what they're doing. But now all I want to see is like an extra step from K Corp. I think their next game is going to be cool, because I know them. Like, I trust in like the coaching stuff in Fnatic, and I just want to see them like not be as readable with some of their stuff at the moment. And like, some of their stuff is really good. I don't want to take away from that, but like in a coaching perspective at the moment, I'm looking at that, I'm like, damn, I want to play them. Like, I want to play them. I think you can do stuff against it that's going to work really well. And if they don't adjust like really early on in the game, I think they might be a little bit lost. But I just want to see the next step now from K Corp of just like just a little bit of difference, even if it's just for like the first 5 rounds or something. So the enemy team is just like, well, guys, our original game plan isn't working. They're playing different. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then they can kind of, after the 5 rounds, go back to, like, if we're looking at Sunset, just their normal heavy mid control and then just retake. So yeah, coach perspective, with the demos out there, I think you can definitely exploit some of the weaknesses at the moment. But overall positivity, man, they got some really cool stuff. I think we definitely have to talk about Narrate in terms of just the numbers he's putting up on all these different agents. It's stupid. Like we even said earlier when we we're talking about Yay, like Flex is the hardest role at the moment, and Narrate is just doing it to a stupid high level. And when
let's throw NA a bone on Plat Chat. They need it.
yeah, for sure.
Dude,
we've never done that
NA's
before.
Great this year. NA's beautiful. It's a good time. We'll get to that. We'll get to this discussion in a moment. Anything to add on this team, TMV? Is it just the francophone glazing session here?
I mean, I've got bad news for them. They're
What's
going
that?
to get fucked by Fnatic. So that's unlucky, I guess, because Fnatic have played 2 maps and they've played like 12. So that's not going to be easy. And that's like you were saying, like some of the things are a bit readable. I think it happened on Split against Heretics as well. They did a really cool in their first game, like Astra Wall with a Euro TP, like in the little corner. And then I think there was a time they tried against Heretics as well, and Heretics were just like, "Yeah, we know you're there."
They tried with an Omenor, I think, right?
Oh yeah, they tried it with an Omenor, yeah, and Heretics, I think, were aware to it. So it's little things like that they might need to work on. And of course, they have played a ton of maps. I think as well, like, you know, when you think of like you know, maybe some inexperienced teams, you know, Magnum hasn't been an IGL as well for, you know, a long time. I think this is his first time fully IGLing. So,
But he was like secondary calling and stuff on Apex, right?
I think that was Mystic from what I
Oh,
heard.
I may have
I
made
don't know.
even I intentionally spread misinformation on the
I
internet.
might be wrong as well, though. We
Yeah.
might both be wrong.
But either way, Magnum like full IGLing for the first time, you know, like you can understand like there might be some you know, maps where it doesn't go as well for them, and that happened against Foot as well, right? I think they lost a 13-4 or something, 13-5, something like that against Foot on Bind as well. So there's definitely some cracks there, but in terms of like, again, a starting performance, bringing in 4 new players to your team, you know, like gelling together, the vibes seem really good in general for them. So like, on the whole, I mean, they're again another team that's like way ahead of expectation. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
big
they're
time.
way ahead of schedule, and you know, yeah, they're probably gonna lose to Fnatic. Unlucky, you
But
drew
it's
Fnatic.
Fnatic. It's Fnatic.
Yeah.
I think we also do have to give credit that, like, remember this team fucking travesty last year. The funny guys, the funny team. They got it together a little bit towards, but especially at the start of EMEA, it was a tragedy. And they were a big cloud team. They had a ton of followers. They had a lot of big players. And instead of getting like their head stuck in, we have to be the team with the biggest follower numbers and the biggest thing ever, they completely like reset everything. They build something from scratch, and I think have really put together something quite impressive, which probably not going to beat Fnatic, but have shown some great stuff, and definitely excited to watch more of this team. But that brings us to the big boys. Fnatic, this might shock you guys, but I think they're still good at Valorant. Anyone disagree with that?
Yeah, they're still good.
Bren?
I think one of the most impressive aspects of Fnatic is that they just keep improving. They keep throwing new things into the mix. I think they got pushed in the map versus Vitality on Lotus, which has always been one of their better maps. But they were throwing new things into the mix. I don't know if this. I can't remember Fnatic doing this before, but they were doing that. The A tree take, where they would Paranoia to one side, Prowler the other, and then wait for either a connection or clearance, and Boaster would just TP off of it, and without fail, they were getting a tree control every single time, and a kill almost every single time. It's little things like that where they're really just honing the little
I can
takes.
categorically
of
guarantee they weren't doing that before, because Boaster was playing Astra, and that would be incredibly
yeah, so they weren't
impressive.
doing that before. It's like them throwing that new into the mix. So I was dead impressed, and I think that this team should be, in theory, with all things set up. They've only shown what, 2 maps? They should be set up for a slam dunk win and just making it to Madrid, almost by default, because the format favors teams that don't reveal too much, and it favors adaptability, and they could, if they wanted to, they could cook up entirely new fucking comps and maybe even get by just off of raw firepower and come into the playoffs with that. But yeah, so far so good. Their retakes on Ascent, now that I'm being reminded on here on their A sides, were so damn good. They were looking really clean. Just all the pieces are there. They haven't slipped. They haven't slipped.
Yeah, I think as well, Lotus was very impressive. Like losing double pistol, winning a map, even if it was overtime, like that's still a massive feat. And just both as individual, I think it was it's kind of similar to what you were mentioning. That there was one round where like they lost the first kill. I think maybe Alpha died on a default over towards C, and they were 4A, and then Boaster just like opened the door, flashed the guy in door, and then just TP'd in. Like I'm like the confidence from Boaster at the moment is like really high. I like that he's just his aim is looking crisp, and that he just looks like he's ready to just take a little bit more risks, and I think that's a good sign of him. The fact that he has like some confidence as well.
Angel's thinking, but when I do it, everyone says I'm a
Yeah,
troll.
but it's like it was once in 2 maps that we saw it, so that's like a nice little level for it. But yeah, so I mean, what else can we say really? It's just everything looks good, especially when you look at this Ascent game. They just had a rough start in terms of double the pistol on Lotus, but still a few mistakes on Lotus for sure.
The defense side was a bit like, there was still some times when they were, and I think even Boaster said it in the post-match interview. I think that he was like, "Yeah, I thought our Lotus defense was a bit shaky.
Yeah,
and they need to change some things." So that's
kind of
quite
alarm
funny.
bells. I felt like they got abused like in B a lot, right? I think Vitality were just like fast hitting B all the time, and then they were having like 3A and couldn't get through Hobbit. So there's a few rounds like that.
We know they're good, but I think the real question to ask here with the time we're going to talk about Fnatic is anyone else in EMEA, in you guys' opinion, close to the level? Is there a chance for it still be an upset, but an upset in playoffs here from any of these other three?
I think Navi can just from the pure factor of just the fact that converting the pistol and this third round. Like if they can get good starts snowballing in this game, it's like the amount of times my poor mod always gets spammed when 7-1 happens, and it feels like it's every single game. Like the amount of 7-1s or like 5-0 starts we have is just outrageous at the moment. So I think that they can do that on some maps. And but yeah, I think Navi, and then honestly, if K-Corp can continuously somehow reinvent themselves, then fair play. But yeah, I would only say that Navi are convincing me that they're on or can be close to this level.
Yeah, if you know you've got artists Sugetsu, Xiao, and Zipan, like if they have good games, you know, and then there isn't really necessarily a firepower difference, and I think Navi have a chance if they're playing a good game that they could upset Fnatic. It's still going to be super tough though. I mean, in this map as well, like Alpha, like again, they were just Alfia. He's just it's just unfair to have like a Sentinel player that just will always get 2 or 3 kills, like always. Like it's just such, like what do you do? Like
Bren, what do you think about Alfia?
I need
Still
to
overrated?
write a public apology to Turkey, to Alfia, to Fnatic. I need to get onto my knees, and I just need to start. I don't know. I was about to say glazing, but listen, the fucking,
Don't say get on your knees and glazing in the same sentence.
I need to apologize for everything. I mean, listen, this team has firepower in every single department now. There's no weak links whatsoever. Not that there really was much of it to begin with. The one thing that gives some level of hesitancy is the fact that we haven't seen like their whole map pool, and there's so much fucking RNG at play when it comes to the way the map veto works out.
I mean, it's single elim BO3. Like the Arton Bola TW rule. Every match is 70-30. There's no guarantee.
I mean, Fnatic do have a big advantage where they've seen a ton of Karmine Corp's maps, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be up to the same standard as their Ascent, for example. And their Lotus was pushed because of the defense side. So they have shown some weaknesses. I don't think it's an impossibility. For example, I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep for Fnatic, but they have every advantage they could possibly hope for, and they look like they're in a stronger position than they ever have been before in order to qualify for an event and potentially even win a major event, which is crazy to say because they've always been really, really, really good.
I mean, they keep teasing that they're going to play Yoru. If they don't play Yoru, I'm going to be so disappointed. I'm going to be so disappointed if they just play fucking bed boring comps, like all the same comps as last year. I really want to see. And they didn't ban Breeze. And I thought that was very interesting as well, because we've like seen Fnatic have played like one game of Breeze ever, and they played fucking Neon Breach.
What if it's just the most elaborate bait, and like Durka like gave someone else his account to just play Yoru on, and like
Yeah,
he's been
that's right.
posting everything about Yoru just to do. What if it's all a fucking ruse? No. This guy's posting too much about Yoru. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not real.
The
No.
whole
Look
team
at this
is.
shit.
The
Look
whole
at this shit.
team is.
He's never playing it. He's never playing it.
I just want to see what they cook up though with an
Every
interesting comp.
gift,
I just
man.
want to see it. Look at
That's so, that one's so good. That's so good. Did they
He's
ban
not
Sunset?
playing the agent. It's fucking guaranteed. Looking at this tweet.
Dude, they gotta play it.
They
You would
have
be
to.
wasting that much time. They'll bring it out
No,
like one
no.
map.
No,
Surely.
he has some fucking Fnatic intern on this shit to be baited. It's every post. Every post is a Yoru gif.
They have to.
They're not going to.
They have to. They're going
Yeah.
to. They have to.
They'll play it.
No.
You can feel it.
Oh.
Did they ban Sunset then? Is that what they're banning?
Yeah,
they
they banned
love this
Sunset.
thing where they just ban like the new map until they just work out how everyone else is playing it and just go, yeah, let's just do this. We'll just take that. And I think that's going to
Yeah.
work well against K-Corp. That's their best map on Sunset. So
Yeah. Also one of the only good maps in the.
yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I really like Sunset. I really
Yeah.
enjoy watching it.
I like the map too.
I like
I
the
think the
way it
B
like
side
plays
needs
in the
some
mid
work.
round. I like how we're still getting like some controversy on it. I think it's pretty sick. But that wraps up our overview. I wanna we have a clickbait title discussion coming up. But first, I wanna do our predictions for the EMEA playoffs. And the first game here, a qualification game to Madrid, Heretics versus NAVI.
Oh, let's
Respect.
go! Let's go!
I was
Respect.
wondering if
Brennan
everybody
has
else was gonna
picked
go
Heretics. The
Heretics.
rest of us have gone Navi. Bren, I want to start with you.
I think this might be a really close game because I'm pretty high up on Heretics. I'm pretty high up on Navi. But yeah, I just think it's looking more fleshed out. It's looking more fleshed out on a variety of comps. Whereas with Navi, I feel like I've seen them get pushed on some and win on one half of one map, but then struggle on another. For example, on their Breeze and their Split. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's gonna be a close game, and I went with Heretics as a bit of a punt. We've dodged the Plat Chat curse as a result.
Yeah.
I don't really have
Yeah.
too
You're
much more to
welcome,
add
man.
into
I'm so glad you've picked this, Brent, to be honest, because
Yeah.
like again, this is another one of those games where Heretics come out and again, Boo and Mini Boo just absolutely fry. They beat Navi, and then we're all like, "Oh, Plat Chat, what do they know?" The comments are coming out.
I've dodged it because that's a
Yeah.
real possibility that could end up happening.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's a scary matchup. Like we're saying,
Yeah.
if Boo and Mini Boo frag to the same level, they've won this. Like they've actually won this. This is stuff pure fragging power. So yeah, it's I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you went for it because it's more like a 50-50 game. Maybe it's like slight advantage to Navi. It's so hard when there's not much data out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is the
There's
thing.
not a lot to know. I think it's gonna come a lot down to like prep and just like individual form. Like you're saying, like any of these guys on Heretics could easily show up and like make this upset a reality. But I think this is gonna be like the match to watch for me in EMEA. I feel like this is like the one where it is the most unknown who's going to be going to Madrid, and honestly, really excited for either of these teams to make it to an international event. But let's check out the other qualifying match and what we thought about this one. Already talked a lot about it. Fnatic, Karmine Corp.
Oh, fuck! I was praying that somebody would go Karmine Corp. I was praying.
Nah, I'm not that worried about this.
I'm
one.
not worried about
Yeah,
this.
no,
Nah.
this one I'm like,
It's
yeah.
Fnatic.
Okay, wait. Now they're gonna clip this as a
Yeah.
video of us going, no, this is fine,
It's
secured.
It's fine.
The
No.
French DMs.
This
We're about
is
to learn
this is a
French.
guarantee. This is a guarantee.
You think this is a guarantee?
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
it should be because of everything we've already discussed. I mean, Karmine Corp
Yeah.
showed the most maps. We know that Fnatic are a good team in terms of prepping for their opponents. Fnatic haven't shown anything. Like they've shown 2 maps. They could have
Maps
new,
of
new
normal
stuff up.
comps.
Yep, two stuff up their sleeves. Like they could have anything that forces Karmine Corp to adapt. But I just have a feeling that we're gonna be wrong. I don't know why.
I mean, it
it's-
would be fun to watch. If
Oh,
it
it'd be
happens.
insane. If
It
Karmine
would be
Corp
so
win this
sick.
game, yeah, that would be.
If Fnatic aren't at Madrid, that's wild. Just
Yeah, it
imagine
would
that
be
world.
crazy.
Yeah, Karmine Corp EG Grand Finals.
You've just spoken into existence. It's fucking happening. Oh my god. But I do think like this does speak to like the level that EMEA has risen to, right? Because last year everyone was like, yep, Fnatic's winning everything. There's no contest. No one's even close. But this year it really feels like these teams are like leveling up and it's going to be pretty competitive in the league.
Yeah, it's like the two we always used to talk about like the middle of the pack, and Heretics and K-Corp were like the two teams we would never put in the middle of the pack, and now they're just up in there. So it's like, well, now like it's now like 9 teams in the middle of the pack. It's like, what do we do? So yeah, it's gonna be a fun year. It's like I can't remember who said it last time on the show. Someone said that like last year was like I think it might have been UTMV. It said last year was like really easy to predict in terms of EU, right? EMEA was just like this team's going to beat this team, whereas this year I think it could be a little bit wild. Definitely some upsets.
Well, we're talking about form in the leagues, and I believe TMV, you had a topic that you wanted to discuss.
You're giving me credit for it. Wow.
Yeah.
Producer TMV.
There you go. You produced this one. It's a simple question. Is EMEA better than America's? EMEA gotten a lot better throughout the offseason. A lot of these teams getting closer together. A lot of these teams showing us some creative comps while some of the Americas teams are playing old Pislow shit from 1984. Are they in better form, though, than what Americas is showing right now? And TMV, since you brought this up, I want you to take the floor.
Okay, my opinion on this is thus. I think that, obviously EMEA have Fnatic, which is kind of like a big advantage as well, because until someone proves that like they're consistently better than Fnatic, you got Fnatic. I think that the middle. That's fair. That's fair. They haven't lost this season.
Actually,
Undefeated.
Both teams won their 2 maps.
Yeah,
they made it to the playoffs.
Nothing you can argue against that. But I would say that the middle of EMEA, the median team in EMEA, I think is better than America's. I think. Going into your mind, I think the median team, 6th place team in EMEA, I would probably say is Foot. I think the medium team in America is probably G2. And I would take Foot over G2.
Sorry, my
Personally,
cat just
for me.
launched. Sabine, why did you do that? Sorry, continue your point. No, don't hit them again. My monitor just turned off. What is going on? Get down off my desk, cat.
Oh,
Come on.
Yes,
I
I think the median team in EMEA is better than the average in Americas. But I think that maybe there's like more good teams in Americas. But
You think so?
Heretics might prove me wrong on that point.
I feel like the EMEA, there's a lot more teams in the top end this year compared to America's. Just because
I'm talking like top end though. I think like, I'm talking about like teams. Let me put it this way. I think there's more America's teams that could win an event.
Okay, yeah.
Than in EMEA.
But how do you? But okay, so my question is, this kind of goes to how do we define the question? Because in my opinion, I think the fact that there are more America's teams that are, in my mind, contenders to win top level international events and be like world beaters would mean for me that it is an overall stronger league than having more teams that are pretty good but not up to that level. I think that also shows that our middle of the pack teams can compete with those teams, would then lean me to say that America's is stronger.
I'm not even sure I'm on the middle of the pack. I'm not sure I'm even with the middle of the pack being better, because I'm thinking like G2, like if I'm thinking G2, even MIBR with how they're looking, I feel like that game against like, yeah, you saying Foot? So I'm okay in terms of like Americas, I'm like S tier is like 4 teams right now. Then 100 Thieves is looking pretty good on like the border, and they're kind of all up there in terms of who I could think could win an event.
You think 100 Thieves can win an event?
Oh, 100 Thieves look sick.
I think they could.
100 Thieves look
Yeah.
sick, man. Like, let's be honest, they look good.
I actually think
I don't know about
this
that.
might be controversial. I think any of the top 70% of America's League teams that were to go to
What
an
are you about
international
to say?
event would be a contender to win. I think we saw that with EG last year. I think it is the league with the closest competition and I think the level when you go into an international event from any of these teams, from just the environment they are surrounded by, from the amount of high quality Valorant, and that even these middle of the pack teams can compete with the top level, I think any of like the upper half, the upper 70% could go to an international event and reasonably be considered a contender to win.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that. I think if I went from like 1 down to 11 of who I'd rank in Americas against 1 to 11 in EMEA, and the 1 played 1, 2 played 2, I think I would be confident that Americas takes that.
The only teams in Americas that I would say go to an international event and I wouldn't be like, you're a contender for top spots, MIBR Crew, Cloud9 Fury right now. Everyone else that went, maybe, I don't know how to feel about EG yet. Well, I don't know how to feel about EG, but
it's a weird question because I think the floor for both of the regions has been raised. Like, to be honest, just
sure.
at the bottom end.
Absolutely.
We don't have these teams that are just like mailing it in anymore. Not to say that the teams that went winless were mailing it in, maybe DFM, but like Crew went close a couple of times last year. But
they went
still.
close every time.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard, but now most teams are competitive against each other. Even the teams we didn't expect to be competitive, like have shot all the way up. So it's hard to say. But in Americas, I don't think the top of the pack is really as wishy-washy as we might seem. Because I would just put, I mean, you've got Loud, I mean, you got Sen, I mean, you got NRG. And that's who I would put near the top. And then
Do you not rate Leviatan?
I think Leviatan will probably be like in that spot with 100 Thieves alongside them. They both played really closely between each other, and I don't think Lev have reached the, like, they're supposed to be a super team, but they're not playing at a level of a super team.
Played very close to Loud. I mean, the split match, like 1 or 2 rounds going the other way, winning
that was
that
a
pistol round in the
game
second.
on both.
Man,
teams.
I mean,
that was a mad game.
I don't disagree with you on that.
This is
fact.
what I mean, though. Like your good teams are playing absolute slop fest. You're talking about MIBR. Watch the Fury at MIBR game again, and
God.
wash your eyes
Fury
out.
MIBR. That's Fury MIBR. We don't talk.
Yeah, but
about
you're talking about we've got such a good middle of the pack.
and
like, even
I said,
MIBR.
no. In my mind, those are like. Put them down. Put them down. They're not towards the top. I don't know what that means, but they are not the teams I'm talking about when I'm talking about the top. Like those are the exceptions to the rule in my mind.
But to me, I've still seen sloppy maps. You know, I thought that the Gen.G game,
but then
the
you're
first
talking
map,
you're talking about Heretics as contender, and their first game against Karmine Corp was like, like I feel like
Heretics have nepotism on their side. They have no worries. Don't worry about it. Boo is the best player in the world statistically right now. So what are you going to say to that? Exactly.
It's fucking stats don't care about your feelings. I guess I've been owned.
I look, for me, I feel like, again, some of the like, yeah, it's an interesting debate. Of course, there's multiple ways you can do it, and you made a fair point, Mimi, that like, yeah, I agree that probably Americas has more teams that could contend for an international event, and if you want that to be your measuring stick, then yeah, you probably go with Americas.
Well, TMV, we can.
I don't
you a
necessarily agree
trophy.
with Sliggy if they played 1-1, 1-11. I think it would be very close. I think it would be extremely close.
Well, who's alongside
Personally.
Fnatic?
Well,
NRG,
Fnatic, put Fnatic down as a
maybe.
win. The
NRG.
EMEA 1-0 up.
And NRG or Loud. But
Yeah.
I think Loud are like owning it with new comps and people don't know how to play against it. So that as well. So I would maybe put NRG as like the safe bet, but
then even if you go to 2, like you got NAVI versus whichever one of Loud.
but then any other game,
but
every
like-
other game, I feel like I'm fancying the Americas. But
Navi Loud. I
Really?
feel like I lean.
Oh,
Loud.
I don't
Yeah, I
They're,
don't think I
like-
would favor Navi over NRG, Sen, Loud of those teams.
Yeah.
That's where the
I
gap
think,
is.
I'm
That's why
not
this is a
saying I would
weird question,
heavy
because-
favor them. I just think it would be that would be a coin flip
But
to me.
I do agree with your point, TMV, that if we get down to like Foot versus Furia, or like a Giant versus Cloud9, like those games, I do agree with you that I think if we're going 1 for 1 down the list, once we get towards like the worst 5 teams in the league, I'll give you credit there. But I think we should be waiting. I think we shouldn't be proud. If I was a European, I wouldn't be proud of my worst 5 teams being better than America's worst 5 teams.
yeah, it's true.
As an American, as a free person, I'm proud that in my head, top 5 teams better than your top 5 teams. Partner.
Yeah, it's an interesting question though.
Yeah, All right.
Hold on.
Well, I've decided I've won the argument, and I'm kicking TMV off the show. And we're gonna talk about Americas.
Do you want to do a break first? while we
Yeah,
get the
let's
new
do
people
a
in?
little break. TMV, Sliggy, thank you both for coming on.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
no problem.
Go watch
There's a,
their
there's a
co-streams.
shortage. There's a shortage
They're-
of people who have watched 50 hours of Valorant within a
Yeah.
week, and you are the only you are only 2 candidates we can draw up. So thank you
The
for, thank you
few,
for joining
the
us.
proud,
Yeah.
the co-streamers. Well, semper fi to you boys, and thanks for coming on as always. We're gonna go to a break. We'll be back with America.
Not Mr. X on the list.
Yeah, Matt Mr. X funds Plat Chat by himself, for those that don't know.
Yeah, that's
Rob Moore,
crazy.
Plat Chat.
That's crazy.
All right, I'm going to tell Baby and Sean to join the call and then find some awesome. Actually, you know what? I'm going to prioritize the royalty free. Then I'll ask Baby and Sean to get the show here.
Yeah, there's no. We're not covering China. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. We're not covering China, because there's not enough people who have watched the games. Too many games to cover, but we will cover them at some point. And I'm hungry to give you an update on me. I'm currently a little bit peckish. I'm probably gonna order some food. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
All right, I've failed
Yeah.
with the royalty free music, unfortunately.
That's okay. Don't worry. Should I order my food now, or should I order it like midway through the Americas?
Do it midway because then you get it like immediately. Actually,
Yeah,
have
I'm
it
good.
prepped now and then just press the button
Yeah.
midway.
I've got it prepped. I'm just starving, so I'm like, ooh, maybe I get it. Yeah, we're struggling to do a lot of these episodes, chat, because people are flying super often and traveling for the events. Like pretty much most of the Plat Chat crew is flying today. Me and Mimi flew last night, so. And then when we're working the events, we can't actually watch all the regions, so we can't even talk about the regions unless we like cram and just don't have a social life. But we managed it. We managed it this time. I think this might be a special case where there's just been so many matches in such a short amount of time where once
Yeah,
it's
and
over, we'll
when
be okay.
the stages start, it should be a lot easier because the leagues won't be as insanely desynced. And if they are, there'll
Yeah.
be some sort of consistency which we can schedule around. I think we got someone in here. I hear some typing. Let me see who it is. It is Baby
Yo.
Bay. What's up, dog?
What up? What up? What up? What up? How you guys doing?
Also, baby.
You hear me okay? What up, guys?
Yo, we got Sean
Sean as well.
too. Nice.
yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Sheesh. We allowed to swear on here or what?
Yeah, we're past the 5-minute mark.
Do I need to get on Discord or is it just?
No, it's just
No,
this for now.
Just on this.
I think you might need to switch to your SM7B, Sean. I think it's taking your webcam mic or your DSLR.
Oh no, I actually want to use this.
Oh, if you want.
Is this better?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Welcome.
probably cover China next time, chat.
Yeah, you guys are
just let me-
fucking crushing it out there. I just want to let you know.
Thank you, Sean. What do you mean, with the episode or just in life in general?
Oh, the broadcast and the episode, dude. The broadcast. You said something. Oh man, that first part. Fuck. I was relating, but I was laughing. What it even was, dude. It's all a blur. It's honestly been so much Valorant. It's honestly all a blur.
Yeah, there's been a lot. A lot
Way
of
too many
Valorant to
games.
watch.
Way too many games to keep track of too.
Dude, the casting is fucking insane, by the way, baby. It's so good.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
There's been
Didn't know
so
how
many.
it was gonna be.
Dude, there's been so many moments, by the way, in my co-stream when you cast that we share the brain cell. Like I will say
Nice.
something and you will literally say the same exact words. It is the weirdest fucking thing, dude. It's the weirdest thing.
I love that, dude. Flippin' love that. Wait, are we allowed to swear on here? or
Yeah,
no?
you're allowed to swear. We're past
Oh, I
5
fucking love that.
I kind of like you saying flipping though. That was kind
minutes. I
of
heckin' love that.
I heckin' love the tens, no?
Big sucky. Doesn't he do the heckin' thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Rick, that's what he does.
I'm at a real show.
Is that the sound of Mimi coming back?
Dude, I'm so glad the fucking Europeans are gone.
Oh my god.
Wait, is this thing on?
Oh my
This
god.
thing on?
European.
Wait,
Oh my
wait,
god.
wait.
Hey, it's
I-
the
Wait, Brent's like, wait, I'm European.
Wait.
it's the
No,
takeover.
Britain's not a part of Europe. They cut off the cables and floated away.
That's true, actually. They did. Yeah.
I actually liked it. Really nice. That was fun.
Nah,
Maybe
I heard them
you
not
keep hosting, you kinda-
recognize.
Kind of crushing hosting.
Yeah, let me back.
Oh my gosh.
Kind
I'm
of
hitting on the big screen right now.
All right, we got new guests, baby. Bay. That's his name. He's here, Mr.
Oh.
Casterman. How was your
Damn.
Casterman
nudes.
debut?
It was good. It was good. Like I was definitely nervous the first every time I got on there. And I didn't realize how like low of a voice I had, like how deep. Yeah, man. That over, I was like, gotta get some energy in that, you know. That's what I try to focus on throughout the week, bringing the hype a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you were clearly improving, like from cast to cast.
Thank you.
Good.
Pretty sick.
I don't think people understand how hard it is to like not repeat the same like phrase or word. Like it's like it's so
Dude,
it's so fucking hard, man.
You're telling
Like-
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been doing
1,000
this-
yard stare.
You've been doing this for a long time, bro.
It's-
Like
and it won't ever go away. I'll tell you that now.
get
It
stuck.
won't- You'll review every game and you'll be like, oh, I said this word like 5 times.
Yeah.
And I'm just using the same terms, and you'll be like, and you're Sisyphus. You're pushing up the boulder every single cast.
it's so
Take
hard,
a
man.
shot every time I said shot in my last cast.
Oh my gosh.
I love the
For-
sports references, by the way,
Yeah.
Mimi. Last night, they were so fire.
Wait,
When you said
wait, what did I reference?
the basketball one, you said something like nothing but net, or I don't remember what it was,
Okay,
bro. I was like,
dude, okay, Sean, you weren't here for the beginning. I took immediately after that game wrapped, I rushed to LAX. I was on a red eye. I slept for maybe 2 hours and promptly did this podcast at home. So I have no recollection of what happened in that game.
I just want to let you know, Mimi, that cast last night, probably my favorite cast of all time. I was crying laughing.
It was
dude.
so funny. Yeah, it was so
I'm
funny.
glad.
Oh my god,
The
it was so
fucking crowd,
good.
dude. Shout out to everyone that stuck around the crowd for the clown fiesta. They were going crazy.
I loved it.
Yeah, well, that was the match of the century. I think we'll talk about that later. But let's
This is the
start
best
off.
guard we ever seen. It's crazy.
True. Let's start off by talking about 100 Thieves.
Ooh.
The more
Ooh.
things change, the more they stay the same. They've been grouped. Sean, as someone who I've watched sadly view
No,
many 100 Thieves games, I just want to hear your emotions in this trying time.
I think they looked hopeful. I mean, especially knowing what we know now about Group B, we speculated it was the group of death, and I think they played it pretty well. I mean, in both of their series, they made it to the third map, and they had leads on the second half. Now, like, you could argue, is this just like more of the same? Like collapses in the third map, some pressure problems. I think it's weird the way they like lost to the Reyna on Icebox. That's not very good. You know, like they couldn't close out these games, and I think that's a problem. And when I watch them, I do see some of those same issues. Like they kind of stall out, and it looks like they run into, I guess, like idea problems in the mid round. Like no one's vocal enough, and that's where EU I think needs to probably overperform this year behind Boostia.
The thing is, like, I don't know if EU is known for being a mid rounder. You know, like I don't think that was his job when he was on. Well, what team was he on before this? Not Ghost, right?
M80.
M80. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't think that was his role on the team. So I don't know. Like they're gonna have to mold him to do that. But I think they look pretty good considering the amount of time that they had together. You know, I feel like they haven't really had that much time.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to like NRG, but NRG just has 5 superstars, so it kind of makes up for that lack of playing together, right?
Are you as gecko pilled as Boostio? Because Bustio is really on the fucking gecko hype. Right now.
I'm on board with
Yeah.
Boosters. I actually like the theory of a lot of the comps they're running.
Yeah.
Especially they lost the bind versus Sentinels. I don't think they really played against the Euro comp very well. I didn't feel like they were ready for a lot of like the weird teleports that Tens are throwing that I really feel like they should have been ready for because they've played that comp before. But I think the ideas they have with the comp is really nice. The way that Bustio was calling the defense there, or sorry, it wasn't against Sen that they lost. It was the bind in the other series that they ended up losing.
Yeah, they actually like dominated Sun.
Yeah, they did. I had it backwards in my head.
I was like, hold up.
Yeah, but 10 still got by them a couple times. But I think the way they call on defense around like Bustio's like timings on his utility coming back online, I think playing like the Fade Gecko stuff, I really expected teams to play like a Flash Initiator, like a Yor Gecko or even a Sky Gecko or something like that. But I like some of the stuff they showed with the Fade. I think like the execs with the like double info cycles coming in to kind of hide that Gecko eye was pretty cool. And I think Boosty plays really well on it, especially the ideas they build around the ult. Like, I think the theory of a lot of their comps and like the prep ahead of time to me was a lot more compelling than previous 100 Thieves. But I do feel what you were saying, Sean, they fall back to the same kind of classic 100 Thieves issue of they get late into these games and it feels like they're running out of ideas in the mid round and don't quite adapt in time and kind of freeze up a little bit in like these high pressure third maps.
Yeah, it seems like they default to like taking fights and playing loose when comms are missing, right? Whereas other teams might kind of default to playing passive. Like if you watch Crew in those moments where maybe like the in-game leader isn't in full control, they're still in like this 1-3-1 that's super passive. Whereas when I watch 100 Thieves, it's like they don't have that like Ethan on their team that EG had last year behind Boostio. They don't have like Zelsis or Saucy like Sentinels has. They don't have this second voice that's almost like another in-game leader, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I worry for them like deep in the season.
I agree with that.
I have a big problem with 100 Thieves right now, where it's my initial problem with them was that they felt like when they were taking fights last year, it felt like they would never they didn't think they could win them. Genuinely, like they would lack confidence to swing, to trade. There was hesitancy in everything they were doing. This time it's gone the complete opposite direction, and I don't know why that is. But you'll see a really good indicator, I think, of a well-drilled team and a team that knows what they're doing is that they pick the right times to fight together, and then they pause in the right moments too. It's not always trying to play at a super high tempo. And I don't know what the issue is inherently, but Asuna will consistently be ahead of the pack of the rest of his team when they're not ready to set up and help him fight another area. And it's like the tempo they want to play at is like, it's almost like Asuna would be suited for Paper X rather than the rest of the team, because they physically can't catch up in time with what he wants to do in a lot of those rounds. And that's where some of these big openings, like they're finding an advantage off the rip with the initial exchange of util, because they've clearly drilled a lot of like,
I mean, like look at
heavy
this
X
little
sets at the
setup
beginning.
to take ramp. It's so cool.
Yeah, they've drilled a lot of these little moments right at the start of the round, and it's why their bind is so good, because bind leans more towards just like, okay, we can just pop A straight away because it's like there's no ground to cross whatsoever. But that was what I was noticing over and over and over again, is that the rest of the team having to overextend, stretch themselves too thin to catch up to Asuna as a player and help support him so that he didn't just end up dying in these weird scenarios. And so if they manage to just drill in a little bit of discipline into their game plan in those moments and calm down a little bit, like, okay, they've got the confidence, that's good. I felt like they were missing that last year. But now slowing it down in the right moments, like the same way that Sentinels do on their split, where they're like, they don't overextend. They're making sure that they're really clear in terms of what areas they want to fight over and retake. And if they want to re-clear something. If they add that into their game plan, like this team, I think can look really, really good.
Yeah, I think this is, for me, I'm not like super doomer about the overextension stuff, because to me I kind of see it as like an overcorrection from last year, right? Like the entire issue, like what you were saying, was that like they were cowering in fear that entire thing, and like no one wanted to take a risk, no one wanted to give away an advantageous fight. And I think Boostio has literally just been screaming at them like, we can fucking win, please, you're good at the game, just take a fight, wake up, and they're doing it, but they're just pushing it a little bit too far. But I do think it is something that can be reined in and refined when it's a team that I think has like already showed us some good ideas and has shown us that they actually have like the energy back, baby back.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right about that. I think that Boostio bringing the confidence. I mean, he's a champion, right? He's a major winner right now, and he needs to seep that confidence to his whole team. But I mean, all the problems do lead to not having like an actual anybody was there to be with the pack. You know, with Asuna, they could tell him to slow down. They could tell him, to wait on this timing and then work off each other, bounce ideas off of Boost.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
That is the main problem, and
Dude,
they do need to.
Was it like this when you were coaching the team, Sean? Where was Asuna? So when I'm looking at the player cams, Asuna's popping the fuck off. He's like screaming during these games, like in these moments.
Have you ever seen his eyes?
Yeah, Austin is crazy. Like, honestly, he's a great player. Like, people really underrate him as a player. He is very vocal, provides a lot of ideas, will tell the team what he wants to do, where he can get fights. He puts in the work necessary. He's like positive mental a lot, keeps the mood up. Like, he does all the intangibles really well. I do agree, though. Like, I think the spacing with the team is off a lot. And it was something that I think we even struggled with back then, right? That's why I felt like we had to be very like set play focused, right? As a CS player, I'm obviously more inclined to mid round more and default a lot like FNS or something like that. But when you're up against the clock and you don't have time to learn these fundamentals, you have to be more set. You have to be more rigid in order to like minimize variance. And I feel like their level of variance is always so high when I watch them now. Like, they can beat anyone, but also like they can lose to anyone. That's what I feel like when I watch Under Thieves.
Yeah.
I will say like something about like the roster that you coached that I think made it so much different, and like the dynamic was different. I feel like Will had like I right about that, or
yeah, he definitely did. And
like when I played with him, like he seemed to like just have great comms and like call what he wants to do all the time as the main duelist.
Yeah. I think what Bren mentioned also is something that goes like so under the radar in Valorant is it's so hard to even talk about, like the ability to like freeze around. There was a round that you were actually casting, I think, Bren, with like Loud versus maybe Sentinels on Ascent, where they approached the B site and they just like postured. Loud did like one outside of market, one in market, one like at boat, and one in B main, and there's like 2 Sentinels players in like the back of B, and they just waited for like the breach fault line recharge in this really aggressive mid-round spot with 0 Sentinel util holding their flank. And this is something that, I mean, that takes a lot of theory talk. Like, that's just all talking and all just like, hey, when we're in this scenario, like I could be here and angle off and hold your back. You could be here and angle off and hold this. And when I watch Loud, they have all of that trilled.
Yeah.
But my question then is this something that, Boostio, he just started calling, they had a meta change, like a patch change right before they had to play, not a lot of practice with the new roster. Is this something we should be writing off as like, okay, they showed some good stuff, they have quite a bit of time here to reset? Or is this like legitimately worrying you guys for them in the regular season?
I think there's a lot of parallels actually to this team and the way that they're getting set up right now and EG at the beginning of the season of last year. Because when I'm walking through the cafeteria, I'm seeing Boostio sit down with Zeke, right, the coach, Zix, and they're like going over all of the openings of the rounds that they want to go over, like execs. They're drilling execs for the beginning, like really, really well orchestrated rounds, and that was the bread and butter early on of EG. I don't know if you remember it, like their Pearl comp. Like that was really the only thing they had going for them, was like they would have these really, really great openings to like taking the extremities or taking a site like on Pearl, that Euro comp. And then it took like a lot more matches into the regular season to get the middle portion. Like when you get the site, how does everything not go wrong? Okay, when you get that advantage, how does everything else go right? How do you combo these ults into one another? Like that, the really middle section was getting worked on later, and that made that team a championship team. I think you've got the groundwork laid out for this 100 Thieves squad. They just haven't quite found the right tempo and the right timing. Somebody needs to either take charge in those moments to call something. I know a lot of teams have a safe word that they call out, just to get people to slow down. I'm not even kidding.
Pineapple,
like, seriously. Pineapple, though. I've heard pineapple being used as a safe word.
Did teams call that a safe word? Because I've always heard that called like, this is the word we use to pause the round, not
it's the
safe word.
I'm not comfortable right now. Let's slow down. It's a safe word.
You're going too fast, Bruce. No, we gotta Jesus
Holy
Christ. I
shit.
regret saying that.
Anyway,
Holy shit.
do you like the color red?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I really
Sure, it's
regret
great.
saying that.
Anyway,
Okay.
I think they've got the
so-
base level there. I think they're coming up with cool ideas. It's just that stuff that gets developed a little bit later, and it should come with them as long as they recognize that as a potential problem. I can see it from the outside in, and it was Josh who first told me, like, he just pointed it out, and since then I can't stop watching it. It's like they just play at that high speed tempo all the time, and they're just getting dragged by like the tailwind of Asuna into a lot of these unfavorable situations. And it's like, yeah, they just need somebody to put a stop and a pause in those moments. But that takes a lot of learning too. That takes a lot of VOD reviews and like understanding in the moment,
It's
because
just time, man.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
time.
It's just like I knew it was a trap round too. I think in the third map against Sentinels, like they won the bonus by Cryo jumping in that smoke and winning a 1-on-3
that
in
was
the A site.
insane.
And then
dude.
immediately after, I was like, this is the fucking trap round. They're going to lose this Thrifty. And they just ran it down ramp. And Second just made that play where he double satchels out of heaven.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think they won a round after that. They literally ended the game, like losing 6 straight, I believe.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Yeah. It was tough. All right. They need a little time. They were in the group of death. We'll get to see them in the regular.
But yeah, I mean, just to put a bow on it, did they get unlucky? Yeah, I think they're in the hardest group.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
they're in the hardest
Yeah,
group.
that group
and
was
I think
death. That was
genuinely,
insane.
I don't think they're placing 10th, 11th. I don't think they're a 10th, 11th team in Americas by far.
Oh,
Like, this-
absolutely. not.
This team should be right now. They're currently sitting at like middle of the pack, and I think that they could definitely make their aim attending an international tournament. It should be. On the
I
cards
also
for
think
this
we
team.
saw players like stepping up from like Cryo actually looked pretty good in this tournament. Like playing on smokes, he looked way more comfortable, and the map where he did like whip out the jet on Icebox was looking great there as well. It seems like there is reason for hope if you're a 100 Thieves fan. So definitely excited to watch them. But there was another victim of the group of death, and that was Leviatan, who honestly in a really similar story, 2 super close 2-1 match losses. They fall out of this one. I think the things to really talk about with this teams is more so the second match against Sentinels, especially just getting like dominated on split. And honestly, like it was 13-9, but it didn't feel like super competitive on that bind game as well. It felt like in this one, Lev was a little outmatched.
I mean, Sentinels is just a monster of a team, right? So that's like,
Split especially.
yeah,
Yeah.
their split is probably one of the best I've seen as of late. And I mean, this is another like all these teams that are in this middle of the pack, right? So, like quote unquote. I think they all just are the teams that just like made last minute roster moves, right? Like even Calm just coming in randomly for Lev, who already played like how many lands in the offseason with the other player. Like even that one little change can change like the entire way that your team is performing and the whole dynamic, and you need that time to mesh. So it's like it's so hard to rate like how good these teams could be. Now I will say I really like the way that King IGLs. I think that he has a really good grasp of how to play this game of Valorant, just by changing the pace of the rounds or just like cutting noise at the right times and stuff like that. Like I think and then he also is mechanically talented too on that IGL role, which is like something that I think we've only really seen like John be really good at too as an IGL, right? Or Ethan, but like Ethan's like the biggest outlier ever, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's a very weird team.
it's so odd, right?
It's a very weird team. Do you think they give Osbus like too much freedom in the agents he picks and the way he plays? Because there's times where I feel like this guy just had like no leash on him at all, like Arena on Icebox, and you know, like some of the scenarios where I'm watching him, I'm just like, man, it could just be because they're not practiced enough, right? Like they're not drilled enough, so he's playing loose in the duelist role.
He's trying to carry.
Exactly. Their split was definitely a problem. I mean, they lost it in every series. They were 0-3.
They had to change their comp, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
went back to the old Sky comp. That
So
comp
bad.
gets just wrecked now. Like the
Yes.
double duelist with the Sky, in terms of your mid-rounding info on the defense side, especially,
Yeah.
like it's a really tough comp to play. And yeah,
And I completely agree with that. And that's why I think Sentinels, like the comp that Sentinels run, is like the most well-rounded comp I've ever seen. You got everything. You can do anything with the comp. You can even set up Viper Lurks on B with it, right? And you can still default the Cypher towards A on attack. Like if you're running up against a double duelist, you have those Cypher trips that are just so annoying to deal with. And John, the way he plays it, especially in their series, he's just always switching them up, right? Always making Tex or Aspas get hit by something because they just don't know where the trips are.
Yeah.
And they just have infinitely more info. And with that double duelist comp that they did change to, yeah, it's probably better than the first comp they ran, which I don't know what the hell that was, but the default double duelist, right, with the double controller comp, like it's just getting punished now on defense. Like it's so hard to play that comp on defense because you're so limited. Like you have to take a fight somewhere, you know, like that's the whole point of running the double duelist. And if you just play for that, and with this comp that Sentinels has, right, like you have a cam that can find out where they're at. You have the Sky util that can find out where they're at and just deny these aggro plays.
I never realized this at first with Leviatan, but Tex is like really an X factor with this lineup. Like, because you're not going to get huge production out of like Mazzino. You're probably not going to get like a lot of frags out of Calm, even though he's going to give you like good ults and great util. So that means you're going to need a lot of frags out of Osboss and probably a lot out of Tex. You're going to get quite a few out of King. And like, Tex is a very important player on this lineup, is what I realized in this tournament. And I don't know if he seems comfortable yet. I can't decide.
He's playing
like,
everything.
He's playing so many different roles.
Yeah.
That's hard to be comfortable in that scenario. I think, yeah.
What's
Very good
interesting
point.
too is I didn't realize this, but I was watching some of the interviews with this player, with these players and like the team content and stuff ahead of time. But he's actually like the oldest player on the team, and like honestly, like has been a pro player for the longest. And I think beyond just like being this like giga flex player who's putting up great numbers, is also kind of filling into this role of like somewhat of like an emotional leader and like helping out to like support his teammates and be a bit of a vibes guy, which I never really realized he was that kind of player when he was with the guard. That's pretty interesting. But I did want to talk a little bit about Calm on this roster. That was the big question mark for Leviatan coming into last minute addition with dropping Noswar kind of out of the blue. He comes in. What did you guys make of the debut? Not necessarily just his individual performance. How are you feeling about like his addition in terms of like a mid rounder, a support player? Were you guys seeing the impact he brought, Sean?
I think whenever I watch Calm, I think he's fucking insane. Like,
Yeah,
I think
he's
his util is incredible. I think he almost always plays rounds to the T, like really, really well. Statistically, he didn't have like the best group stage, which could have been a problem, but he's not really the type of player that's going to like take bold fights. And the only reason why he had great stats at Champions is because he was so clutch. So I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like I think Calm is a fantastic player. But they need to figure out their comps, right? Like if they have support heavy players like Mazzino and Calm, they can't be giving their main duelist so much freedom, right? Like you have to play a little bit more structured with those support players. And that's where I think they ran into some problems. They just didn't have those layers yet.
Yeah. This team got led astray by winning bind with Aspas dropping 31.
Yes.
I think. And then winning bind versus Loud, who were trying to test their like Ascent comp-esque, but it didn't look as good compared to when they were running on Ascent. Like Loud just didn't.
Bro.
They were running a lot of 4-1 defaults, and the big hits just weren't really working as well.
That map specifically, I feel like even Loud could have won bind because there's a round where I don't know if it was, I think it was like a really important round where they had like 3 ults or something to get it into OT, and like they decided to throw a fake.
I think it was literally like the last round, like 12-11.
They tried to throw a fake when they had like Breach ult, Viper ult, and Phoenix ult, and they tried to run a fake short A with the Phoenix ult. I'm just like, dude, if you just pick a site and just use your ults and get that Viper's pit down, like the chances of you losing is so slim, you know. And like that Breach ult allows you to do that. And if you're worried about getting killed early, you can use that Phoenix ult for the info along with like whatever other utility like they had. But I mean that's Loud anyway. But
the Lev just struggled, I think, to understand what to do on bind against Sen. Like Sen's comp is super heavy onto like the showers control when they go for the A hits, and they were just giving it up to 10s every time for free. There was no contestation. There was no signs of contestation. There was one round, I think, where they fought over it. They had a really lack of understanding of how that comp worked. And I mean, maybe that's just down to them having like close wins and wins on that map, and not being able to pinpoint where the potential problems are. It also might just be a problem them not recognizing it. There's plenty of footage of that comp. Like Sentinels have been playing that in Bind in the off season. Like it's not a VODs
Wait,
issue.
this is the
It
game I
there.
was thinking of where they didn't know how to play against the 10s you're on. Yeah.
He was just getting showers every round.
Yeah. So they kind of just let that slip there, and I don't know. Maybe that speaks to me as a bit of a prep problem where players just don't know the right answers to stuff when it should be obvious. You know, you should be watching like the games, or at least the coaching staff should, and relaying it to a degree.
I think the biggest question for me for the future of Leviatan is figuring out who Ospas is on this team. Because he can't be the same guy he was on Loud. Because if you think about Loud, I'm like envisioning their split where he's playing Jet. They're playing like 4-1 setups where he's like solo on one side of the map, trusted to like kind of do everything, or on their attack side they're like sending him into the site with a little bit of utility and like rushing in with like 2 great support players. I think what really made Loud, besides Ospas's own excellence, was how good the guys following him were, like Cowanzine and Sidak as initiator players. Both always put up big numbers for the team and are super active in pushing and getting forward on these executes, which, like you were bringing up, Sean, Mazzino and Calm aren't that same type of player. I think that they need to play a style that's less like what Ospas was on Loud and a little bit more structured, a little bit more fixated on like, these are the like setups of exactly how we're going to get him into the site, how we're going to use our utility to support him, instead of just like these like Loud-esque like, okay, Sadok's called a crazy mid round, we're just going to send Ospas in, Cow is going to trade him, all's good. I think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period to that, and I think if they keep playing this way, then it will be very reliant on Ospas having games like the one where he dropped 30, and that's a little scary to me.
Yeah,
but also it's
consistent.
Ospas.
It's not something that you want to rely on, right? You want to win with team play first, and then let the individual prowess go from there. But I do want to touch back on the Calm thing. Like, he was so good at Viper on that EG squad, and like so clutch on it too. Kind of how like Sean was talking about. Like, he would like always, and like you knew what he was gonna do. You knew every time you played split against EG, he was gonna be in mid lurking and like win the A post plant from vent at some point of the round, or even flank your spawn, right? And I feel like that's something that he's so good at. Like, I don't know if he should even be the Sky, like the Deddy Sky player. Maybe you switch it around, put him on that role where he's just like, he's known for, right? He's so known for playing that and winning with it.
Yeah, he's also a really vocal player, and I think that might be why he's on that role now, because you want him in the thick of things. You know, you don't want him on an island by himself calling the ideas, because I do agree though. I mean, he really excelled in that role, but I think it was like pretty unique to EG where they had players that would do that calling. I mean, and make up for that gap.
I would imagine his comms, Jesus Christ, are probably the best on the team, right? They're probably the best on the team, given the fact that they're speaking English, which
you
isn't.
can see that he comes a lot.
And I mean, we do have to remember, like, this is a very new thing. Like, a bunch of these players are in an English.
Yeah,
3 of the players are in an English-speaking roster for the first time in their professional careers.
That takes some time.
But I do think that is also why, like, you're seeing him not actually excel in like the fragging department, at least, right?
I mean, he had Ethan when he was on EG.
Yeah,
he could turn off his microphone if he wanted to, and it would be goated.
I mean, like, and one of the series, I forgot which one it was, but he had like 6 kills, but 17 assists on the Sky on split. And it's
I saw that. Yeah,
so
that's the
he
last
was
one,
like he's clearly like he has really good utility, right? Like, he has great utility, but him having to step up to this role of probably being that like mid-round voice, you can tell it's taking a hit on his performance, like his actual individual performance. And
I don't think we can really expect him to go back to that, because if we remember last year, I'm gonna be honest, King was on fraud watch as an IGL. Remember the Leviatan that would call a set ID at the beginning of the round? It failed. Clueless emote. Don't know what to go from there.
He got his though.
Yeah,
he did get his. He did get his, but the mid rounding was never there.
Taco.
So okay, that I do agree with that, but I do think there was an issue you can point out in the mid rounding, and I think Leviatan was in desperate need of a stronger mid round voice, because I think King is a strong like pre-round set IGL. He's good at calling setups. He's good at calling around himself. He's good at being super strong as an individual. But I think you need that second voice. And I think Calm has to be that. So he can't really be the Calm of yore that is like going insane every game. He has to pick up, at least if my like read on this team is right, I think he's gonna have to pick up a lot more responsibility in this roster.
Yeah, and if that is the case though, like Tex does need to step up and be that guy that's gonna be the fragger that has the impact other than just Aspas running in there, you know. So he's got to step up in that role as well.
All right, well let's move on to Loud. Raise your hands. Any Sadak doubters here?
I never doubted Sadak.
I'm never doubting
My top
again.
three. My top three.
Let's be honest. Have you ever once doubted Sadak?
No.
Put your hand. Baby, have you ever doubted Sadak?
Nah, man. Honestly, I think he's solid, bro.
Well, me and Sean at least there's some honesty.
I'm
left
raising
on
my
the
hand
table.
too.
Never doubted Sadak.
Mimi,
I think he's
remember?
sick. I think
Do you
he's sick.
remember what he did to us at Tokyo last year? I was a believer.
Yeah.
He
Oh, yeah,
fucking
that's
duped
actually
me. He
fucked.
put Aspas on Neon when I finally believed.
Okay, that was
And
fucked.
they
All
failed.
right, you know what? Actually,
That was
yeah.
fucked.
I
Actually,
lost
yeah.
belief.
I
But
was definitely confused when Aspas was on
It
Neon.
is
I
time
was
for us to
really-
cash in our apology letters because Sadak, he's
goated.
fucking done it again. He's
Yes.
done it again. He's at the forefront of the meta. He's bringing Humegalols and he's gonna win some more trophies. This guy, he can't be stopped. Give him any 4 players. Give him a fucking team of diamonds. He's gonna win. My goat.
Do you think Sadak could win a VCT game with Sean? You know our old Premier team. Just
Fuck
replace
no,
you with
fuck
Sadak.
no.
Do you think
What
just
the hell?
replace you with Sadak? Do you think he could carry us to a win in
No
VCT?
way, bro.
Yo, this guy ain't a miracle worker. He's just an IGL. Calm down.
I think we
exactly,
could beat DFM. Okay, if we keep Bola, Sean, Josh, and then like me and Bren 1v1 for the last spot.
Yeah, we'll
I don't know.
1v1 for the
someone.
last spot.
Some
And
of the
then-
rest of us are getting dropped for sure. Don't fucking deserve that.
And we get
slot.
Sadak.
But we get
I think you
Sadak
guys
in
could
there.
beat-
We could beat DFM, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think he would let you play Deadlock Odin though?
I think Potter
Wasn't
would,
that
if
you,
he was talking
Mimi?
about-
No,
Wait.
that was not me.
Who were
That
you-
was not.
who were you
Oh
saying
God, that was me.
That was
Yeah,
you.
you were
Oh
looking at some
God, that
crazy
was me.
shit.
I was just ahead of the curve. I just really thought pre-nerf deadlock was just gonna. We don't bring that up. Anyways, Loud guys, they look good and they are
They might be back.
cooking. This Ascent
sick.
comp is
They're sick.
sick.
It's insane.
I
insane.
like that they're like breaking the meta on a map like Ascent and even Bind, right?
I mean, what's
And-
sick is there is no meta. New year, new me. I think this is the approach teams needed to this kickoff event, right? It's a flippy format. It's you win only 3 matches. You're going to the international event. Give me something cool. Give me something interesting. Loud delivers on that again.
And like with comps like this, you think, okay, this can only work like one time, right? And like you think that teams can just counter strat it, but the way that Sadak has been calling is some like in the second series they played with the same comp, he was doing the same set utility that he would do, but throwing like different looks with it, right? Like maybe they would condition something towards like A with a breach stun, right? But then actually they're hitting B this time. Like he's mixing it up to make it unpredictable. And QCK has been stepping up to the plate, especially in this role, playing Phoenix on these like weird maps. And he's looking so good on it, dude. Like like they got like the perfect guy for what they're trying to do right now.
Dude, I love watching it. Did you guys listen to Sadok's Twitter videos that he's been releasing?
No.
There.
What's the
What'd he
sauce?
say?
They're so fire. So he did like a 10-minute one a couple weeks ago before this started. And then after they qualified to playoffs, he did like
He's
another
doing
6
10-minute Twitter videos.
It's just like a monologue, bro.
Mr. Beast.
It's crazy.
He's getting paid
It's
off
crazy.
by Elon
Yeah,
Musk.
he's trying to get that Twitter money.
Yo, he's on the Twitter grind right now. It's crazy. But they're so informative. And they tell you like, so this comp, this like breach shit, he wanted to do this at Champs, but he said they didn't
Wow.
have time to do it. And he also didn't think it would be a good play with like Aspas on the team. Like he never would do like this Phoenix comp with like Aspas because he always wanted Aspas on like a star player role like Jet. And it's just so interesting because he is the mastermind behind this. Like he basically said like, I did this shit. And you find out like how fucking smart this guy is. And that all the keys are literally fully in his hand this year. Whereas like last year, he was building on Osbos. There was all these star players. There was
a lot of pressure.
broad
too,
coaching,
with
right?
Aspas
That
being on
had
the
like a
team.
big voice. I think this year is literally just like Sadat can do whatever he wants with this team. And it's going to be his comps. It's going to be crazy game plans. This team is going to be so sick. Here it is. Yeah. No, this is so fire. Dude.
We're not
I
going to
gotta
watch the whole
this.
video, guys.
Yeah, I
No, we're
gotta watch
watching it.
this over.
No, the beginning's kind of fluff. You just get to it. But
anyway,
yeah, it's great.
Watch the Twitter video.
I think what's so impressive with this team is like the amount of protocols that they have for like every scenario. And when you're playing these like weird comps like this, like that's what you need to make them work. It's kind of like how like M80 was playing the breach on this map for a while, right? With the triple niche that they were doing.
Yeah.
Like triple and niche. That's how the cool kids say it.
Yeah.
But like
Damn.
every single player is bought into this system, and I don't like maybe that was the
That's
thing
a
with
dangerous
Aspas,
thing.
right?
I'm not gonna lie, that's as in
But
dangerous for
you-
other teams.
Yeah, that's what I
Because-
mean.
Okay,
Like,
I thought you were about to critique
Yeah,
it.
I
I'm
was
like,
like-
what are you gonna?
I was
like, hold up,
drink
you
the
want that,
Kool-Aid.
you know, you
I
want
want a
that.
sip. I
I've
want
seen
a
the power.
sip.
I've seen
Let
the
me in
power. What
system.
happens when teams fucking cook or comps? It's called
Oh
paper reps.
yeah,
Last year, all right. They listen.
old phase
I'm a
too.
fan of it.
Even old phase where we just ran double duelist breach every single.
I don't want
map,
to see you
right?
on
And
Cypher
ran
ever
down.
again, baby.
I
I
actually
want to see that ever
tried.
again.
I actually tried for EG on Cypher. It didn't go too well for me. I'm gonna be honest.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it's actually crazy that whole process. I trialed on like every single role, and I was actually surprised. When she asked me, when Potter asked me, she was like, "Well, what roles are you most comfortable on?" I was like, "Anything but smokes," and like some of my best trials happen to be on smokes. I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." Like I actually have a good Astra. Wow, like didn't think that was possible.
Potter looks at her notebook, doesn't know what he's good at. I'm fucking with you.
That's crazy.
Hey man, it's what it is, man.
I feel like there
It's
is
what it
something
is.
about that EG team and putting star duelists on Astra and they go crazy.
Yeah, they go crazy.
Dude,
I don't know what's in the water.
I was cooking, man. I felt good. Like it was the only time I think I ever beat Sentinels, like this new roster in a scrim. I was really happy.
Oh.
I was like, damn, feels good, man. Because every other time I played the Sentinels roster in a scrim, they're dropping 40s. But we're getting off track here. But
Dude.
yeah, like even like the retakes that Loud were doing on a Sent on A, where like it's like a molly, a flash, a stun, all coming in together on the people that are like just planning the bomb. It's so like, where are you supposed to play against this comp? Like how?
You
Like
just don't. Yeah.
and
You're forced
the-
off site.
exactly. And then what? And then you're like
Yeah.
cut off by Viper mollies. It's just crazy, man. This like the way that they're cooking with this utility.
Yeah,
And-
on
and-
Ascent, this
And
comp
you want to
survived
take the
bot
fight to them,
challenge,
but
right?
you can't, like, because they're aware that their weakness is getting disrupted in their retake, but they're ready for it.
It's so crazy because you see this comp and a bunch of teams probably want to mimic this, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do what Loud is doing
Yeah.
on Ascent because they're not running a Senti. And they have to have very good timings on when they're getting info, when they're aggressing, where the Viper util is to stall. And all of it is so well orchestrated.
Yeah.
I think this isn't the round.
Oh Jesus, this
Yeah.
round.
This round's crazy. Like, Sadaka just floating around with judges.
Also, he's been playing like mechanically insane too. That's like while he's doing this great IGLing, but I think the reason why he's shining so much now and we're seeing him like have these clutch moments is the fact that it does seem like everybody has like a one mind, like they're like a collective, right? Like they all understand what they're supposed to be doing. They all know the protocols. They're so like rehearsed on everything that they're doing that like it allows him to just be able to say something and everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. So he can dial in on actually having these 1v1 moments. Like he takes so many 1v1s. It's kind of crazy. He's like what Angel wishes he could be.
I feel like that's actually
or
a
what Angel
crazy
thinks he
comparison.
is. Maybe that, huh?
It's like two sides of the coin: the angel and the devil. And Sadak is the devil. He's the guy who plays the crazy
go.
comps, who like just sprints through smokes and gets kills and just makes it work. Like he's so good.
Yeah, this team also, I mean, throwing out a comp like this in this format of kickoff is really smart because one of the biggest tools you're gonna have, or like one of the biggest things that's gonna get you wins against any opponent, is forcing them to adapt to a new comp just on the fly. Like anything that throws away prior prep in a really just like you play little matches. I mean, we're going into a single limb format as well for the playoffs now.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they've already shown that they're willing to experiment bodes well for Loud's chances.
I do
They're
wonder
experimental.
on the flip side, when it does stop working, how are they gonna like how?
Well, it's already been
What are they
tested.
gonna
Like
do,
their
right?
Ascent comp was. Like they played it twice now. Like it survived the fucking trial by fire
Yeah,
of,
that is very true.
of
They
like teams actually being able to look at it.
I also guarantee this team could very easily just go back to default comp if they wanted to. And that's what you get from playing these
That's
comps,
what I
right?
was wondering though, because like I don't know, like how is QCK gonna be in a default comp? Like we haven't seen it yet.
I would ask
I'm
about
assuming
that.
I'm assuming
the,
they're gonna be great. I'm
Yeah.
assuming they're gonna be great, but we
what's
just
the
haven't
vibe
seen
check
it.
on
So
QCK? Are you guys feeling pretty positive
I
after
think
his
I'm-
debut with
I
Live?
think he's
positive.
ridiculous, man.
He's
He's
good.
been frying.
He's
He's
the
really
perfect
good.
guy for this team. Like team player. There's no pressure of having Aspas on the team anymore, and that like there is heavy pressure having him on your team because he is the star. He's supposed to be the star, so you want to set him up, right? That's what Sean
Yeah.
was saying earlier. Like QCK, he's a role player, but also this guy has a high ceiling. Like some of the shots that he's been hitting and his timings that he takes, and just his intuition as a player. Like he's doing these Phoenix ults, and he'll be full blind sometimes, running up B long on bind, and he just knows that he needs to spray this one corner. You know what I mean? Like at the right
Yeah.
time, gets the kill, and then proceeds to get all the info on site afterwards. Like he's just been,
He's so flexible, which is
Yeah,
how
he's
Aspas
crazy.
describes him actually in that like 6-minute video. This round, I actually messaged Kurt around just now. This is the round where they freeze. This is their bonus against Leviatan. And they actually have a Phoenix ult. I think most teams are using the Phoenix ult right here and just running it down at this moment. But they actually just freeze. Like this is insane that they freeze in this position for as long as they do. Given the fact that they have no Senti, like they have no control over A main, no control over mid, and this is all just like micro comms, waiting for things to come back online, and just the crossfire is perfect. Like if someone were to come out and kill this guy in the corner, they're immediately traded,
yeah.
and the whole site is lost. So it's just all so well played. It's just positional, and honestly, I'm such a believer in Sadok after watching this shit. Like they only showed 2 maps, which is the same thing with EG. This is such a, or actually they showed 3. They lost bind.
It's actually going to be a banger game. I think.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a banger.
Like both of these teams have shown so little. Actually, it's gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think they're set up to just absolutely own. I mean, I think their Bancom needs some work. They try and run the same shit, to be honest, because they were struggling a lot and running a lot of 4-1 defaults. Like if a team reads that, goes for some really aggressive plays down A short to try and clear it, spots where the Viper's at, immediately gives you the read for the rotates. Even though you don't really want to overrate too much on bind, but yeah, I think this team should do well. That EG match is going to be interesting. I'm like staring at it. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know. They
Segue,
should be
segue.
heavy
I don't know
favorites.
Next
either. I don't
team.
know either.
Evil geniuses.
Yo.
Are
Oh,
they
shit.
frauds who got a free match? Or are they gonna do it again? Are they gonna be good? Are they
Dude,
gonna
honestly,
make something out of nothing?
The only thing I
Are
gotta
there
say
any
about this,
EG believers in this house?
Derek
I think
is my
they're
fucking
pretty.
goat.
I think they're pretty good, but I don't think they're good, like the best. But I do think that they're like probably like in that, like not the middle of the pack, but like right above it, right below the top 3 teams. I feel like is where they should be placed.
I'm not gonna lie, I was fucking like greening out after this best of 3. It was fucking crazy. This best of 3 was the craziest thing I have seen in Valorant. Like, this is like a Potter miracle that she won this series. Like,
Okay, they were 8-1 down,
7-0,
but 7-0, and
Yeah.
then she calls a timeout.
8-1,
8-1.
Yeah,
They
8-1.
win 3 rounds in a row.
Eco 8-1.
They go into the second half. They lose that one, and then they just rip them throughout the entire second half and come back and win 15-13.
First lead at 13-12. Fucking unreal. Fucking unreal. And then they bust out a deadlock on map 2, dude. I was
Did I
like,
score?
Yeah.
If you're
after the
G2,
series
that's
is
like getting
over.
punched in the face when you see that. That's
Yeah.
genuinely like getting punched in the face because
I'm-
you're like, how do you take care of any of this?
Dude, it's hard to play against that comp. Like it was so hard playing against that comp in scrims. Like even just like you saw a lot in that match that they defaulted a lot of the deadlock utility on B, and I think that was a read into how G2 like to play Icebox in general. But when I was playing, they were setting up deadlock shit at A, like around 410. And if I dashed to like top 410, or if I took the rope, they had a stun there, and like the wall would come up and everybody would peek with the Gecko Flash. It was like, I was like, holy fuck, bro. Like, what is going on? And the way Jogamo plays this deadlock is a duelist. Like, he's truly a duelist on it.
Like opping with it.
Yeah.
I swear to God, you put Jaw on any agent and he plays it like Raze.
Yeah,
I think Potter actually said that in the post-game interview, that she was just like, we don't need a dive character in these comps because Jaw's playstyle, if he has the right support, he can literally create space for us on any agent. He is like, I feel like he is kind of a player with no real parallel. Like, he just has such a unique style of play, and he is so talented at it.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in EG though.
I am too, because they cook and shit. But
they're cooking, right? And they've only shown 2 maps out of all the teams. They have one of the biggest advantages of any of the teams in the playoffs, despite the fact that our expectations should be lower because of the players. But even still, I think the fact that they brought out like this new comp on Icebox, who the fuck knows what else they've got up their sleeves? They can bring
one
some
best of
shit
3.
out.
One best of 3.
By the way, fun fact: when I was doing the trials with EG, this is before like we were talking about any type of comps or anything. Like, we're just all on Discord, just hanging out, or TeamSpeak, whatever it was. And Jogamo was like, yo, Potter, you got to let me get my one deadlock game in. Like that was the bet. Like, we won champs. I get to play it on one map. So apparently this was like an ongoing like meme that they already had. But they finally actually made it work.
Funny.
Yo.
And it's just like, that's the lore behind the deadlock. He's like, I got to at least play it in one match. But like, low key, it's actually so like good and versatile that I think they can play it in the future too. I don't think like there's gonna be a hard counter, because like honestly, like I said, most of the deadlock utility this entire game was on this B side of the map, but they could change that up at any moment, right? They can...
Even if you watch the VODs, it's not like you can pre-fire the fucking placement of the sensors.
He's moving
because it's so big. The sensor location is so fucking big. You can put it anywhere and it will still get value.
And that's what was so impressive, like how often he was switching around the setups and like having these like different little trap plays. It's got to be like so annoying because basically the only way you can take A is like contact, and then EG's playing away where they're just like able to like re-clear that space, fight back into you. The second you have to move, you still get caught in the sensor and you just get owned. Like, they played off it so well.
Yeah. And both these teams in this matchup, right? Because they're going up against Loud. They're both teams that have tons of protocols that they like try to dial in on. And I was honestly surprised that EG had so many layers already. And like, especially with these setups, like knowing like, okay, after the trip makes contact, like I'm going to get my one and then I can fall back. And then we got another layer, right? I was so surprised with the time that they had with this roster that they were able to like look so good. Yeah. But also in this series, I just feel like G2 was like,
they were off.
I don't know, man. Like, yeah, like, and that's been the theme for G2, right? It's been like, they get this crazy lead and then just like blow it away. It's so odd. Yeah. So I don't really know. Like, we don't actually know like if G2 is the truth yet, or sorry, if EG is the truth yet, or if G2 just looked like dog.
I don't know though. iTest told me like the util was so good that EG is a good team, and Apoth made me a believer in him. Like throughout that
he's
series.
Very good. I thought he's very good and very vocal, Sean.
Yeah,
very vocal player.
And then the clutch players, Derek and Superman, played fucking out of their minds. And
isn't
it's
it crazy?
I love my boy Super.
Isn't it crazy?
God,
hold on,
bro. He's a land god.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but isn't it nuts that this fucking guy Superman has been playing this game since literally the beginning? And has been at this same level ever since. He gets sent down to the dungeon for a year, finally gets his chance, or 2 years, finally gets his chance back up tier 1. And it looks like bro's like back on rise, out here just dropping bombs again. He's unreal.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to Superman is like his motivation. Like last year when we were playing in Challengers, he didn't really like leading up to the actual season play the game like at all. And low key, that was kind of the same thing before he joined EG. Like I think he just started playing the game 2 weeks before his trials again, like ever since the end of the season, because he's been actually like having a lot of like IRL stuff going on. He's getting married and stuff like that. So he didn't really have the time to actually play the game. But with like, if you put Superman in the right environment and like he's motivated, and Potter is very good at doing that. And the fact now that he's playing with Derek as well, like one of his homies that like he's played with before, and he's comfortable, he's a demon, man. And like, people don't know, but like I found this kid back in Crossfire when he was like a nobody. He was like 14 years old, bro. I found him and like he was a fan of me. His name was Andre in Crossfire.
How'd
But
you
his
find
name
him?
is- yeah, but his name is Fat Lee, right? So I'm like this random Viet kid. Like he's so good. We thought he was cheating, so I picked him up. I was like, bro, I'm gonna find out if you're cheating fast
Wait,
enough. But
he
if
had
you're
your
not
na-
cheating,
He had
yeah.
your name as an alias.
Yeah, Andre. He had my name as an alias in game Crossfire. It was so funny. It was so
Wait,
funny,
that's
but like,
insane.
but my point is that the moment I picked him up, we actually qualified to play international lands, and he was the best player online. Like he's better than me online at that time, and like I was the hot shit, you know. I thought I was the hot shit till we got the real Andre apparently. But he's actually super good at LAN, and he plays even better. Like he feeds off of everything, off the crowd. He's that clutch player. Like he's just so good, man. People just didn't know because Valorant has been online for so long, and we weren't able to qualify for anything. So now that I saw him on LAN, I already knew he was gonna fry. I just didn't know that the whole team was gonna win, you know?
Yeah.
That's wild. Sorry, Sean. Before we got on the diversion, you were talking about another player on this team. I think you were talking about
Apoth.
Apoth.
I think everyone on the team like really impressed me. Like the whole team impressed me. I think Apos lurks were very successful throughout the entire series. I think Superman and Derek were just putting up huge moments, and Nature called a really good game as well as winning like pivotal clutches. So
Yeah, Nature's sick.
it made me a bit of a believer in EG. I walked away feeling like, oh fuck, this team could be like actually a dark horse.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Like I don't think that they're like the best right now, but they definitely have a chance of like being a winning team. And I think Apoth plays such a unique style of Sentinel. Like he is not afraid at all. And like you see even in this map, I think he went 2 first kills, 7 first deaths, but he's relentless, bro. And like he's gonna take any timing he thinks is there. And that's all based off of Potter's vision of what she wanted in a Sentinel. Like I literally didn't realize when she was telling me, no, I want you to run it down, that she truly meant it. Because I'm watching like when I was prepping for the trial, I'm watching John, you know, like very tactical, like setups, all this stuff. And then I'm in the scrim and she's like, no, I want you to run it down until you die. but she understands though that like if you do win that 50-50 on attack, that opens up the entire map, and you like that's what you want, right? You want a player that's confident to take the 50-50s and potentially win the round for you, right? And they have protocols that even if he dies, right, they can still win the round, and they have the talent, the clutch players to bring it back, to bring back a 4v5 or a 3v5, whatever it may be, right? So it's a really cool dynamic, and it really truly is all of Potter's vision like coming to fruition, and me seeing that in the game. And honestly, Apoth having the confidence as a player for his first time on LAN to actually do that and step up to the plate and not back down, that's super rare to find, I think, in a young player like that.
That's what I mean, dude. Like the EG win is so crazy to me because they were down 7-0, and the level of hate. I know people don't hate on the players, like they've been hating on the org, but you still feel that as a player. Like you still feel a little bit of that hate, right? And the level of pressure that they probably felt in that 7-0 moment, even taking the second time out. Potter took the second time out at 8-1, and they ecoed, and then they came back and won that map.
So insane.
I mean, that is crazy to me that a new team did that. It says a lot about like G2 collapsing too, but you have to give credit to EG as a new team with that level of pressure.
It makes me so excited for the match against Loud, because I see right now EG and Loud in 2 very good ways. I think they're both proof that there is so much talent in this region, be that in Brazil, in North America. There are so many players that have not gotten an opportunity because there are so few spots in the league that are just incredible, and we're waiting for the right team to buy into them. I think that's showing with QCK stepping up. I think that's showing with Superman getting his opportunity here.
Yeah.
And they are 2 teams that are fully bought into, in EG's case, their coach's idea of how Potter wants to play the game,
It's
of
actually
what
such a
crazy
sick-
comps
it's such a
she's
sick
cooking
matchup,
up.
man.
And
It's such a sick
Sadak,
matchup.
it's the exact same thing for Loud, right? Everyone believes in his ideas, in what he's cooked up, in what crazy ideas they're pulling out. These are 2 teams that are like fully behind these crazy ideas, but execute them so well, that have some really high quality talent. it's gonna be such a sick match. But we'll get back to that and predict in a bit. For now, I want to keep this moving, and I want to talk about NRG. We've almost been going for 3 hours, but we have a lot of teams to still talk about. NRG have made it to playoffs, a game away from Tokyo, and this team, maybe let's just say it. I think the easier run. They avoided that group of death. They made it in here. Didn't have to go through the play-ins or anything. But I think looked pretty good in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, I mean, we know they're all goated, right? It's 5 players that have been champions before. It's the most stacked team I've ever seen. I don't know how this happened. It's basically like the new like Fnatic, right? Like, they basically used the template of let's get every best player and put them all on the same team.
Dude,
Ethan looked good on IGL too. The scary thing about this roster is that every day they're just gonna get better and better and hit that ceiling if they want to. You know what I mean? Like that's the main thing, right? Do they actually want it bad? Like, 'cause there's a lot of players that when they win a tournament or like when they win like a championship, as all of them have, like, sometimes you just like, like, whatever, bro. Like, I already did it. I already made it, right?
No, dude, these guys, have you seen their coaching staff? Their coaching staff is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like Chet and like 18 dudes. It's like it's like when you see like Amazon walk into like a courtroom with like 18 lawyers. It's fucking crazy. Like the squad of brains that NRG has. Vladcore is this guy that just, I swear, he's giving them lineups that when I watch them play, because the energy players aren't really known for being like lineup Larrys or anything like that. But when I watch this team play, they're doing a lot of cool shit with their util. And Ethan's util is super on point, just like it was in EG. The supportive flashes are there.
Ethan's
all there.
one of the biggest surprises because normally, I mean, you'd think stepping up into the IGL role, you'd see a drop off in his performance. It's not there. This guy's still hitting. He's still hitting, and he's in that supportive role, and he's making calls for them. This is a team that's barely had a month of prac. Just over a month at this point when they're playing. Just over a month of prac, and they're playing like this. I think their ceiling is so fucking high. They just need a bit more time to cook as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the dream team, bro. That's what it is, right? Like, it's just so insane.
Yeah, I mean, they just have so many players that can step up. Like, Ethan was insane in the first match. Demon 1 then came out the second match and was just looking straight up at, like, championship level again. He was so good in that game.
Oh, my gosh.
And then you just, like, those are the players that take your attention. And then you remember the fucking core of this team is just, like, 2022's best team. It's the Optic core. It's Victor. It's Crashies. It's Marv. Like, it's unreal. And I think the matches that we saw early on, that I think someone could be like, oh, they were close games. Fury got 10 rounds. Oh, I mean, Cloud9 like pushed them into overtime. I honestly don't give a shit. Because the thing is exactly what you guys are saying. I don't care how they play in week 1. I just care that they've come out and they've won. This is a team, the more time you give them, the more opportunities they give. And also, the more VODs they get, the more the fucking, like, football team, 18-man roster of coaches and Ethan can watch their opponents. They are going to start to cook and look way, way better. They were playing very default, very boring stuff in these matches, but they executed it incredibly fundamentally well at a really high level of individual skill. And I think it's just only up from here, in my opinion.
Oh, and actually, this is something I really wanted to point out. I think I pointed out in one of the casts was Demon 1. Like Chet is clearly making this guy up whenever he can at all times. Like, we're seeing third round up every single time they played. Like, every defense, maybe not attack, but every defense he's third round upping.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, it makes your mid rounding so much easier.
He's so good with it, dude.
Yeah. Like, if you can set your opera, it opens up the rest of the map entirely. Like, you just set him up early onto a line, you put him there, he's going to be good.
Yeah, Jet has this man on Jet op jail. No one ever thought it was a thing, actually. We always thought it was like Cypher jail.
New jail just dropped.
New jail dropped.
Andre, you were saying, like, you think the only thing that will stop this team is if they lose that passion, right?
Yeah, it's just if they don't want to win. Like, but I feel like that's what it is.
I don't think that will ever happen with the core of this team because NRG, at least the core, like Victor, Crashies, these guys have chips on their shoulders from last year. Like
Yeah.
they had something. They've got something to prove. They did not have a good year last year. Marv, the exact same situation when he was playing on Sentinels. Like he did not get a good run of things. Like these are all players with a lot to prove. And yeah, Ethan, he's won the championship, but this guy's been a winner before in other games. Like if anything, he had more reason to fucking check out prior, right? And Demon One is just this guy's not human.
He still
Like,
got
you-
it.
the
Yeah, he
way-
still got it, bro. Clearly.
The way Demon One acts in like interviews, like he's actually. Sometimes I'm like, this guy's a fucking android.
don't
Like
care.
he just only cares about winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Was that
You're definitely right
Demon
about
1
that.
coming through for a second?
Yeah,
What
he
was
stopped
that?
into the studio for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he actually the only
Okay.
words he knows is all he knows is I don't care and I love my girlfriend. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, he also calls out other duelists, and I love that he does that because I think he's doing something that not a lot of other teams are doing or players are doing is the mind game aspect, right? Because he kind of does have that I don't give a fuck mentality, and I'm gonna destroy you in the server, you know. And somebody else that also has that, but he doesn't show it as much is Marv. He actually has the same mindset. Like he doesn't care how he plays in scrims. He doesn't care about any of that because he knows when his time comes and we're in the server. Like, yeah, okay, you might have bodied me every single round in scrims in showers on bind, but in the match, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna ace you every single time you come there. I'm gonna hold it down, right? And that's the scary thing about Marv is you can never tell how good he actually is until you play him in the server, and he just beats you.
Bro. All right. We're just glazing every America's
Actual,
team.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Hardest plays.
Holy shit. All right. Guys, make sure you're ready for some more fucking glazing. It's time to talk about Sentinels. Oh, buddy. All
I
right.
fucking love this team.
So to start off, I think we really have to talk about their performance in the second two maps against that series against G2.
Uh-huh.
Some
Yeah,
really
really important
disappointing
maps.
stuff, right? Like I think really, I mean, letting that series go.
They were trying, by the way. Like,
Yeah, they
When
were actually using
they-
all their
they-
real strats and
When-
putting
when-
100%.
yeah, when I was backstage and I saw them walk by, like they were like, "The job's not done." Like they were like, like really dialed in. Job's not done. They wanted the 2-0 so bad to just get out of there because they already knew they won. So they actually were like, they were trying to win this, but
Sure, but probably also didn't want to show a bunch of stuff because
Yeah.
it also was over.
Yeah,
But
useless
to
map.
take a more serious note, I think they qualified. They run the gauntlet yesterday, beating out versus MIBR and kind of being able to win off of their map differential there against G2. But honestly, what I was really impressed with was that map 1. That sunset that they showed was so
Against
impressive.
G2 or-
Against G2,
Yeah.
the util
Yeah.
combos with this
Mhm.
Gecko comp on their retakes was
Fuck.
sublime.
yeah. So, fuck, I don't know how much I should leak, but
Leak.
Probably not that much.
I'm not gonna
It's-
leak that much, but this comp, like, so just the whole reason why they did this was because they felt like they've already played Sunset so much that they just wanted to throw something new, and they played against PRX. Like I think I don't know what LAN it was, like probably Tokyo or I don't know what it was, Korea or Tokyo, right? And they said
Oh,
that
in a Freaker probably. The
Yeah.
Freaker TV.
Yeah,
okay, then it was that one. But like, so they said that every time that they scrimmed against PRX and they this is PRX's comp, that's where they got it from. They were getting just absolutely like just rolled by it. And then they were a really good Sunset team and they were beating everybody, right? So they just wanted to have this in the back pocket. And the fact that they actually pulled it off, it just gives you more confidence. And it's so scary because teams now trying to prep against them, it's so hard now because they can do
Yeah.
anything, right? They could come out with
Almost
funny
that's
comps. whenever
almost
they
a shame
want.
for them that they had to bring it out in like their last match of play-ins. I mean, it's an important map
Yeah.
for them to win, but
Yeah,
I bet they would have
gotta
loved
make
to
it
have
in,
had
right?
this versus NRG. You know?
Yeah,
Dude,
But
that
they-
A retake, was
Oh, it
fucking
was disgusting.
sick.
yeah,
Yeah, with the
crazy.
Gecko molly that landed at the back
That's
of like
crazy.
the Jenny or whatever the fuck it is, and oh my
The
god,
KO util was fire too.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think KO is legit right now in Sunset.
It's good. Yeah,
I think KO Gecko? KO Gecko is a combo.
good, man. Gecko is
Like-
so good on this map, especially with the ult. Like it gets so much value. You can pick it back up. You can pick every single piece of util back up. It's so good, man. It's so
Yeah,
cool how they
I
play it.
actually think like I want to see teams play like KO Gecko even on bind. I think like having like cross map info with the knife, shutting down hits, that's always good. And then for retakes or side execs, the Dizzy combined with a KO flash is such a brutal combo because it's
Yeah.
already so hard to dodge a good KO flash. You pair that with the info you get from Dizzy, and you can just send your rays fucking flying
look at
in
this.
with
Look at
zero risk. Here's one of those execs. Flash, flash. Zekken is in Narnia, and they're just gonna dominate the rounds. The retakes are so clean with this comp, and I really think it's super difficult to deal with. You have constant info cycling with your knife and with the Gecko utility coming back up. And then you also have a crazy amount of power ults when you're on attack to cycle. Okay, we have a Raise Rocket. Next round, we have Thrash. Next round, we have KO. There's so much CC with that comp. I think it is sick right now with how powerful Gecko is.
Yeah, and I promise you right now, you didn't see like everything that they have on attack. I think they like crumbled a little bit. And honestly, G2 had a good game plan as well. But I think the second time around, if they run this comp, you're gonna see a way better attacking side from them. Kaplan, dude, Kaplan's crazy. I didn't know how good of a coach this guy was. I heard like a little bit of their comms when they were down 4-8 and going into the next half. And I'm not gonna say this the strategic shit that he said for them on defense to do, but the mental leader aspect that Kaplan has, I don't know where he got it from. Maybe he developed it, but he was just like, listen, guys.
I mean, remember, he was in IGL back at the beginning. He was SSG's IGL, and then he like led Ghost Gaming to go crazy.
Ghost Gaming back in the day, they were
sick.
Shit.
So this guy literally, it's 4-8, they're down. He's like, I don't give a fuck about the number. Don't even worry about you got 4 rounds. Fuck all that. G2 has been playing back-to-back series. They're gonna tire out. You guys, you just got off of a long break. You know, you need to warm up a little bit. And then he said some strat stuff for defense, and then all of a sudden they win out defense. Like everybody was just like, something snapped in their head. They're like, all right, let's fucking do this shit. And like that's where Jordan comes in. That's where Sachi comes in, where they're just like these people that bring up the team, right? It's so crazy.
Yo, Saucy's Gecko is so good. His Gecko was probably the best I think I saw all week in Americas. I really like
ban them from ever playing Solo Sky again. Straight to prison. Put him on Gecko every map.
I think his Gecko on defense was phenomenal. I think on attack, I think that's part of the reason why. I think he was part of the reason why the half didn't go so well. But like that's all fixable, you know. Like
I liked his Thrash pathing. Like he's really good at the bunny hops with Thrash. Sometimes when I watch Geckos and like their Thrash movement is just dog, I'm like,
it gets broken right away or something.
That shit will never detain anyone. Saucy's is kind of wild.
He's so smart too. Like he's such a smart player, and he's also mechanically talented. The communication this team has is just on point, man.
This team's got it going on. You can tell that.
Man.
Like, I've been talking about Sentinels without them even being a topic all episode because they are just the case in point example of a team that knows the appropriate time to slow down rounds and pick and choose the right battles and prioritizing that.
Yep.
And on like their split retakes on this map in particular, like, okay, we're gonna play retake here, or if some crazy shit happens, like someone throws something new into the mix, like somebody's lurking at mid, they'll instantly prioritize the right thing to do. And yeah, it's so efficient to watch them. Like they slow it down at just the right moments, but then they pick it right back up again. Yeah, this team is so damn good. The only thing that's gonna be holding them back heading into playoffs is the amount of maps they've had to show. But having said that, they've played split, I think, in every single one of their series. And they're split, like it's one of their best maps. That's the reason they keep picking into it. But they haven't revealed too much else for the rest of the map pool. It's like what? Split, Ascent, they've been forced to play.
They played
Breeze.
They played a fuck ton. Considering they're playing against NRG that's played literally four games. That's it. Like they won 2-0-2-0.
I just saw a Twitter post about this. I don't know who to attribute it to. So fuck you. It's been stolen. But Sentinels has played more rounds this tournament than all the other playoff teams combined. No one else in the playoffs played a single off-season event. Sentinels played the most of anyone in the Americas League. Like they have played so much more than everyone else.
It's crazy. I mean, just look at what they've had to go through. Loud, 100 Thieves, Leviatan, MIBR, G2, and then they play NRG to qualify. And there's even a world where they don't rematch Loud, and then they have to play EG in the finals. Like, they would have to go through literally almost every team in our league. Like, we will know exactly how good Sentinels is when this is all said and done. Kind of insane how many fucking matches these guys have played.
Yeah. Well, that sets us up for a very exciting playoffs. And that means that we're free from teams, and we get to move on to screenshots, baby.
I love it.
Predictions are in. match number 1, qualification to Madrid, EG versus Loud.
Wow, nice.
Hey, I'm so glad someone did it. I'm so glad
Dude.
someone did
Oh,
it. Bren, my
this is the EMEA
contrarian
games too.
king.
All right, bro.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think 2 maps
Talk your
shown from
shit.
EG. This format really, really punishes teams' ability to adapt to new shit, new comps being thrown out. EG, they love to cook up new comps. They love to cook up new ideas. If they throw something out to Loud they don't know and are going to be forced to react to, you might just see. Yeah, I think they've got a serious advantage there. That's otherwise like it would be like in a straight up match, say during the regular season. I don't think I would give them a chance. Like if they were playing right at the beginning, or maybe I don't know. It's just
Okay.
the fact it's the unknown and the uncertainty that gives it the potential.
I'm about
You know
to
what I
play.
mean?
I'm about to
valid,
play
that's
the
valid.
Uno reverse card because same thing for Loud. They play Breach Phoenix across the map. They've only showed 2 maps, and they have
But on
Sadaka's Nigel.
Their bind wasn't that drilled. I think EG have an easy ban with Ascent, and their bind wasn't that good. I think their bind had a lot of holes in that you can exploit with a VOD review sesh. Like genuinely, I think for Loud, they have been pushed and tested by a lot of teams, even though they look like they should be the clear favorites in this. And EG, dude, I don't know. From what I saw of the players, it wasn't like there weren't really many weak links at all. You saw clutch performances by Derek stepping up, like in moments where he's just like showing that game IQ that was just lacking last year.
Counterpoint.
What's
Uno
your
reverse
counterpoint?
card. You haven't seen very
my
weak
God.
performances from anyone on Loud. Les looks electric. My goat. Tui's in Kawa, still fucking hitting.
not-
Sadak is swinging through smokes. The man's unstoppable. Best frag in IGL in the world. And Quick on his debut looks insane on every Asian you put him on.
I'm not saying that it's gonna be the fucking EG steamrolling them, but I'm just saying there's a chance.
There's a
saying
chance. There's always a chance.
I think this is a
There's always a chance.
55-45. I
You
think
think it's a
real
55-45?
Yes.
I feel like
I'm not-
60-40
I think
Loud.
this is like a 70-30, bro.
Yeah,
Really?
70-30,
Loud.
65-ish.
I am an EG
Yeah, yeah.
believer, but I was afraid to take
I
the
went with
punt.
EG.
Because I've doubted Sadak before and I don't want to do it again. But I also don't want to doubt pot. Fuck.
I just think
Um,
I just think that like Loud has so much. They've had so much more time to like develop a map pool that we haven't even
True.
seen some of these
Yeah,
maps
that's
that they could be playing. And EG, like how deep is the map pool? Yeah, they looked really good on the 2 maps they played, but
Also, I mean, we do
was
have
against
to give
G2
credit.
who,
that-
like,
yeah.
who knows? Like we don't know, right? We don't know if that was the actual G2. I mean, compared to the G2 that we saw in the last 2 maps against Sentinels, like that team would have rolled EG. Let's just keep it a buck.
Loud's winning.
I think Loud is the favorites for sure. Yeah, I would agree, but
I hope you're right. Though,
I just
'cause
couldn't
love
have us being
Superman.
I couldn't have us being screenshot. You know, like just all Loud when I knew
Yeah.
that there's a chance. And I seriously like the winner of that Group C, like the #1 seed. You have such a massive advantage only showing 2 maps. You really do. But yeah, it's valid points that you're bringing up as well, Andre. Just like we don't know actually how deep their map pool is. They haven't had a lot of time
Yeah.
to work. That's what these days offer for. You know what I mean? Just like
That's facts. That's
I
facts.
don't know. Cook someone up real quick.
I'm gonna say I'm just gonna make a bold prediction right now, because I'm America's biased and also because it's true. No matter which 2 teams from Americas make it to Madrid, both will be top 4. One will win.
I'm cool with that.
Fucking
I'm cool with
curse
that.
our whole region. God
Oh,
damn
yeah,
No,
it.
that's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
That's real. Americas look so sick right now.
Hey, we do look insane.
We look
so
fucking
sick
But
right
why?
now.
We're
Why are
so
you
fucking
saying
bad.
it
Who
out
paid you
loud?
off?
We're
Who
so
paid you
fucking-
off?
No one paid me
Who
off. It's
paid you
happening. It's
off?
happening. It's
Was it
happening.
Fnatic?
No,
Was it
no,
Navy?
no. It's not a curse. I've never cursed. I've never cursed.
Was it Narrate?
Not day. The
I haven't-
bastard.
That guy is the
Turncoat.
truth, man. That guy
He's
is
so
the
Speaking
truth.
a lot of French.
All right. Let's see if we're going to get screenshotted and get clowned, because we have a second prediction. The second slot at Madrid will come down to a battle between NRG and Sentinels. It's the match of the week. My contrarian.
I know you were going for these fucking contrarian picks.
I
They're
don't remember. I
saving
actually
us.
don't remember picking NRG. I don't know. I thought Sentinels was gonna do it. My bad.
Baby, why were
I
you
can switch it for you.
Yeah, just switch it for me. I thought Sentinels was gonna
All
win.
right, there we go.
All right. Let's hear the defense of Sen City.
I just think that they've been the most active team, and yeah, that can be used against them. But I don't think that NRG has had enough time yet. Now, I would love to be wrong, because I think if NRG can beat Sentinels in here, I see a world in which you are right, Mimi. I think they could win the entire event. But I think that Sentinels is just, even on maps where like people know what they're doing, like Split, they're still so dominant on it, right?
Yeah, it
And-
doesn't
and
matter
they-
how
and
much
they-
you prep against this.
yeah.
They have so many different
Dude,
looks.
switch me to
And
Sentinels. first.
Zakin
Switch me to
is
Sentinels.
so good.
Wait.
Switch me to Sentinels.
What's
No,
happening?
this guy's spitting.
Wait,
This guy's spitting.
really?
No, switch me to Sentinels. I submitted this when I wasn't considering their game last night. I love the new comp they debuted. Like the points about Zekin, he's looking incredible. John QT, it's fucking absolute cinema
Holy
all
shit.
over the place.
Sick,
the
man.
calling's
Holy
been
shit.
so
You're
good.
on you're on
and-
low sleep.
No, I am, but I'm telling you, they're finally gonna fucking win. It's happening. Sentinels is winning a tournament. It's never happened
Oh
before
my
since
God.
like the fucking Stone Age.
She
But
jinxed it
they've
again,
been
bro.
grinding. They were
Holy
behind in the
fuck.
tech tree, but they will rise again and come back
is
stronger.
happening?
Our city will grow bright and red, and it's fucking happening.
Sen
All
City
right.
hates you right now. They
No,
hate
it's
you.
happening. No, it's happening.
Sen
It's
City
happening.
versus the Plat Chat universe.
Dude,
That
you
most
get guarantee
epic
going into
fight.
swap, Sean.
Fuck no, no.
You guys
dude,
are idiots.
Energy. Yeah, you guys
He
are
said,
actual
"Fuck
idiots.
No. He said, "Fuck no."
Dude,
Okay. But why? But why? Seriously,
Okay.
I think the points are pretty valid about
Yes.
NRG. Haven't had a lot of time to flesh
Yeah.
out their map pool.
So actually,
that's the only thing. That's
Yo,
the only thing.
Actually, I
have
think
against them.
NRG's comp on Sunset is a little sus. They're running like a solo jet duelist. There's not much to like break stuff. I could see how it happens. The problem is Chet has so much time to work with. They only played 2 maps, or I guess 3 maps. 3 maps. They have such a good coaching staff, and Sen have played 16 best of 3s this offseason.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, Kaplan
has-
has a mustache.
Has there been a single team that have played
Undefeated.
more best of 3s than Sentinels this offseason?
No, and they're gonna lose because of it.
Fucking
What?
crazy.
Wait, no, they're gonna win because of it.
It's basically just
Who
like,
am I rooting for again, guys?
do you have confidence in the match reps or the anti-shredding? And I have confidence in the anti-shredding and the players that have won the championship.
Yeah.
I mean,
They do have a
it's
lot of
valid.
players that won
Like
championships.
Valid, bro. I mean,
Like with the footage.
this could honestly be like a 50-50 or 55-45.
Yeah.
Like, it's I think it's
I
gonna be a
think both these
crazy
matches
series.
are so close.
It is super
It's
fucking
gonna
close.
be crazy, man. It's gonna
Like
be crazy.
I
hope
think
it is,
this
at
will
least.
be the fucking day for Valorant. We are eating so fucking good on
We need to make
Saturday,
these
March the
matches best
2nd.
of 5s. I don't care the Pacific's
No,
already played.
Yeah,
no.
I don't give a
yeah.
fuck.
Boo!
What do you mean, boo?
I
want to
hate
see.
best
I want
of
to see these
fives.
teams play like a lot
Best
of
of
maps.
fives are too long
No.
and bedge.
I think
And
for this
BO3s are the
format,
perfect amount.
this
and
needed to
they're
be
beautiful.
double limb or best of 5 right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the
This
Yeah.
match needs to
I
be
can get on
tough,
board
man.
with double a
Best of
limb, but
Double
I,
a limb would
I
have been
don't
nice.
like BO5.
Double limb would have been nice. I mean,
give me
this
BO5s.
this deserves a double limb because
BO5s are almost
I don't
always
know, it's
bad.
too good.
It is an exception to the rule when there is a good BO5 match.
I don't care. Give me a BO5 for both these games. I don't give a fuck. I want to watch. We're eating good with these matches. I want to be
Yeah.
watching them for a while. Like,
Are we
yeah,
done?
They deserve it.
We are
done?
not done. I wanted to touch on last
Oh
week.
god.
Last week's match of the week was Loud versus Sentinels, and I made a community post on our channel to vote to see who won. And of course, it was 65-35 Sentinels for our viewers, and I just wanted to keep track of the viewers' record here. So we're going to be doing another community post
No.
tomorrow for NRG versus Sentinels that you can vote on, and hopefully
And that'll be
get
on
it right.
YouTube, right?
That'll be on YouTube. We had like
So-
19,000 votes in the last one, so
wow, that's a lot, bro.
So
Christ.
subscribe to the
Damn.
YouTube
Shit.
and make sure you vote in that poll so that you can give little Timmy a 1-1. Yay!
That's
Yippee!
crazy.
Or you can vote for Sentinels again and be wrong and be down 0-2, but at least you
Oh.
voted for Sentinels. It's a
We're missing
beautiful
the
thing.
Wyatt's Weekly Award.
You Predator sent.
Oh, we still have to do it. There's one more
Yeah.
segment on the show. It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Dinner's almost ready, but right now, it's time for Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Ah, scrumptious, scrumptious. Okay, this week, I want to give, it's me, Wyatt, and I'm going to give the Wyatt's Weekly Award to the VCT America's crowd who stuck around for the match of the century.
Yeah.
So good.
They
yeah.
were
Dude.
so incredibly fun. Fucking cheering for the randomest shit. There was children trapped in the audience. There was frogs. They were
Set us free.
chanting for animals. I don't know what was going on. It's still a fever dream to me. But you guys were awesome.
It was amazing. It was the first cast I've ever heard where it was only casted in memes. It was so good. It was so good.
Ludicrous game. Ludicrous. Okay.
I was watching the clips of it because I was catching up on it after the flight.
Yeah,
I was
VOD,
like,
VOD
this-
reviewing that important
This was
match.
yeah, I was not VOD reviewing that match, but I was like, dude, they went off the rails.
so
with
fun.
this.
Bastion, bro. When I heard Bastion, I was like, this is getting crazy. Like,
Overwatch
going
mentioned.
yeah. Homie called John QT Bastion.
The thing with Sideshow, just so unhinged.
It did not even look like him.
So funny.
They had a
though.
mustache.
It.
Same mustache.
Oh my God! The coach of Sentinels is Josh. Did you guys notice that?
Dude, the thing where you had the
Sideshow.
crowd all chant 10s on a B hit and he just gets fucking pounded with so good.
When they started chanting for TSM too. When does TSM play? All right. I think we're done here.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, 3 hours and 18 minutes of. I've had more podcasting than sleep today. Oh God.
You need to get some
Okay.
sleep. Go
It's
take a nap.
it's veg time. All right, guys. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for watching. That was Plat Chat episode. Next week we have Plat Chat episode. Looking forward to the teams going to Madrid. Baby Sean, thank you guys so much for joining us. Fucking plug yourself or something.
Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah,
I love you.
tune
Plat
in
Chat
to the
universe.
stream on Saturday.
Which match you casting, baby?
I got the banger one.
Oh, you got the energy send?
I got the energy set.
Okay,
Yo.
let's go. Yes,
That's gonna
yeah.
be so sick. It's gonna be so sick.
And Sean, you're gonna be co-streaming, I imagine.
Yup, it's been fire.
Are
I've
you
been
a
watching-
YouTube frog now?
Yeah,
think I
kind of
saw
a
that.
little bit of
Yeah.
both. Dipping my feet in both the ponds. Get some
Alright.
water from everywhere, you know?
Well,
Nice.
competing co-streams. Watch any of the 3 guests of ours today that will be co-streaming. Thank you for everyone who came on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be back next week. Remember to be a member and subscribe and vote in the
Bye.
poll.
Later.
Bye.